y'all can't hear me. I just talked for a really long time. So, okay. Here we go. Off to a good start. So, yeah. Here I am. I'm just gonna talk about my history playing this game. So the first time, like, also by the way, I'm a little bit unprepared. I was in the middle of getting this going, and then it took a little bit longer to get going than I needed it to be. But yeah, I have a little like script here, kind of a plan that I'm gonna go over. There's one thing I need to find real quick, which is, here we go. Yes. So, what I want to do, we're gonna do some watches together. So this first thing that we're gonna watch is, oops, not that, is this. Oh, I think it starts here. Okay. Hey, Ascension Telomere. Thank you.
You should be at the start screen and you should pressing start here on go. Yes.
So I should say 3, 2, 1, go, and then okay.
So this is from AGDQ 2013.
For starting this race is a little complicated,
and this is what got me into speedrunning in the first place.
Important that we do it right.
Two speedrunning legends, Duckfist and Sinister One.
Alright, 3, 2.
Let me know how the volume is, by the way. So I think, yeah, one of them's on Virtual Console.
Are we okay to
But
donations?
Yeah, go for it.
kind of
Alright, let's get back to donation readings. We've got $40 from Felix Cho. I'm
You
back
hear
after
Spike Vegeta on the mic.
mauled me during the Mega Mario run. Comment that I made.
So
Here's my buddy.
yeah, I played
Anyways, cheers to Symphony of the Night,
Ninja
one of my
Gaiden
most
2
favorite
when
games
I
of
was
all time.
super young.
This goes to Spike Vegeta. Choose
He's not
where
very
he wants
good.
this.
Kind of played it for fun when I was a teenager and you know, started beating the game.
Felix Cho.
The old
So yeah, one thing,
speedrunning stuff
they wanted
really
probably
interested me,
close to the bottom of the ladders, but not
and
too far,
I
'cause you
contemplated
have to
getting
climb
into
down
it,
the ladder
but
to
it
go
was
to
like
the screen.
when
If
I
you fall
saw
down,
this
that's considered
VOD, or when I saw this, I watched this live
I went for
back in
that.
2013.
This guy's trying to show off over here.
I was like, there are two things. One, I was like, that is
Got
awesome.
$5 from Dexter. Sinister.
$5 from Dexter.
119. If pacifist,
Um,
not forfeit.
My first thing was that
What's up, Dexter?
this is just
Good luck,
awesome.
Dexter.
I love this game, and this is a really cool and close race. The second thing, and this might sound a little elitist, but I was like, I think I can do that. I think I can do this too.
Again, any of these runners that
Not to
you're
like
watching,
diminish
you're
their
hearing
play,
about, shout-outs and
you know, because
everything,
they both played really well. But I was like, I would, you know, I would like to do something like that. So let's go ahead and watch this, and we can see some of the old stuff. So see, I mean, that's honestly fair for a race strat to wait for the wind there, because it's such a common death area. They both get this boost. There's some really old stuff though here, and you'll see it.
It's great for
So I think Sinister's on the right.
210?
No.
They're going for 210s.
211.
211.
The European speedrunning team.
I didn't know that they did either, Jorf. I thought that was a Jorf the Jorf thing. Cause you're the one who told me about it. So the game is pretty like not huge innovations up until like
Well, we
3-2.
got $30 from
But the way
Simon
that they do
Anderson.
3-2
Great marathon
is
for a
going
great
to
cause.
be
Please place these
completely
$30 up
vanilla.
for the Ninja Gaiden race. Oh, God.
So I'm actually kind
I
of
mean, why
curious
settle
to
for just
see
one run when you can have two at the
what
same
they
time?
even do
Meetings are
here
sweet.
for 3-2.
Oh, you're getting a race now. Close that. $25 from Samuel Abolton. I was torn. Really wanted to see the Pacifist run of Ninja Gaiden, but I think I'd rather see more Duckfist instead. So this is for the
Alright,
race.
so
Also had to get a donation.
I still
in
am
during
not
the
sure
Castlevania
who's
run.
on the right.
Oh, you can best of both worlds. I don't think anyone can complain about watching that Pacifist run. Alright, you got
I
$50
think
from
Sinister's
Thomas,
on the right.
Carolison.
I don't know.
Hi guys, here are some bucks.
Yeah,
for
so
your
they don't
excellent
know.
cause. Though I lucked out personally.
I remember
in
we
my
used to slash that guy.
In my extended family, it's not
Yeah.
even
Oh, this is
unusual
old.
to have lost
Oh,
a
there's
mother
two
to
different
cancer.
strats here.
I followed SDA for a while.
Yeah,
but
Dark
once
Fist
again
is on the
amazed at
left.
skill
Because
level.
I remember
Throw
Dark
this towards
Fist
the
for doing the
Ninja
room that
Gaiden
way.
Race. Races are awesome. Rock on, you guys. We need
Alright,
some
here we
more.
go.
Well, you're getting
Pressing
You
guy
got $20 from
was
Simon
unemployed
Sikkonen
for
to the
most of
Batman
Ninja
race.
Gaiden 2.
That is already met then to Luigi in New
Yeah, I
Super
don't
Mario
think so
Bros.
either,
Play towards
Puexel.
Luigi in New Super Mario
And I
Bros. because
vaguely
Batman race
remember
has already been met.
Dark Fist running
We
this
got
on
$10
that.
from Justin Chahon.
Alright, so at this point, the Act 3 quick kill is not thought as viable.
Let's go, boys.
Let's go, boys.
I'm glad they clicked start at the same time.
The other thing too is look at the wall slashing. I haven't even looked at this, but kind of curious what it looks like. You can see, I mean, they're doing it. They're probably saving a little time. They're not saving a lot of time, but they're slashing. At this point, the record, I think, and I'm going to pull this up in a second, I believe at this point, the record that people knew was Arcus, and it was like a 1045.
Have been looking forward to this since running the beginning. Since
No
the
going
beginning,
through
put
walls
this toward
here.
Whatever ROM Scout wants. Also, shout out to Alucard.
Yeah,
that
this
didn't
race
make
is like
it
super
this time.
close.
Let's fight cancer.
Despite
altogether.
these strats being old,
We will definitely
this, like I said, this is what got me into speedrunning. I'm gonna look into that in a second, Jor. I don't even know what they did there. That room has gone through a lot of changes.
We got $20 from Corey.
No
Larry.
over the walls.
Also
Over the
runs-
wall
this is
wasn't
my
a
second
thing
donation,
for a
put it
while.
towards the Batman side quest. And here's to getting
That's
the
really
sealed
risky
copy of
slashing
Certain.
there.
Again, the Batman side quests have already been met. If you'd like, just PM SDA Marathon. And we
So,
can also
I have a
show
comment
that
about
suit
the,
possibly, or something else if you're lucky. $15 from Rans.
I'm gonna talk later about the
No
Duck
need to read-
Fist world records.
Nice
Because there's a little bit of a story there.
Catch it up. Well, I'm doing my best.
It was like the known world record
Thank you so much.
to us,
Boom. We got
but
$20
supposedly
always
Hotarubi
there.
had something faster.
$20 from Miko Sanaaho. Thank you all for
So
supporting.
go ahead and
Hope
look
those struck by the
at
curse known as
this
cancer.
5-1.
And also for absolutely destroying my favorite games with such style. Keep
This
it up.
is where
Please put these
Duckfist
$20
gets
towards
the
the
lead.
F-Zero GX Very
Okay,
Hard Mode
right here.
Challenge.
Boom! Look at that. He's over.
So again, if you want
Sinister doesn't even do the strat.
We got $25 from Kurt
And I
Gallagher.
think,
With
I forget,
cancer's butt.
I think it was like
Please put
after
this
the
in pot
race.
for Ninja Gaiden Pacifist.
Oh, this is George's
Arigato.
favorite stage, by the way.
We got $25 from Marjorie Delamere. I've always wanted to see
So
a rodeo.
Sinister
Here's 25
didn't
for
even
Dawson
know
versus withheld
how to
diehard
do that.
race.
He
Shout
hadn't
outs to
practiced
Kieran
it.
for having balls of steel. We got $10 from Clint Villa. Hey guys, great marathon for a good cause. Put this towards the Dark Souls glitch.
Yeah, look at how he
glitches
does this end
By
of
the
the
way,
screen.
you
This
guys
is a
need
lot
to tell
different
people
too.
Dark
See, they're
Souls
getting
the
the.
bosses challenge and put money towards the glitch demo. Well, just
I don't know.
$30
This
from
is
William
gonna be
Estrada.
different,
Use the
yeah.
bottle against Ganondorf.
I remember we
Yeehaw!
used to stop in
We got
the air there
$5
to get a
from John
boost.
Roselle. Thanks for yet another
And then
godlike
good old
marathon.
Ashtar.
I would have donated
I'm gonna
more,
go
but
over the whole
sadly, this is
history of
literally the
Ashtar.
last of my money. As the last of my money had to be spent in arranging the funeral for my girlfriend, who recently departed due to Dengue shock syndrome. Not cancer related.
Oh, and they're
traumatizing.
getting rid of their extra
I wish you good
ninja.
luck with the rest of the marathon. You want to ask 2 questions.
We
to the
didn't know
runners.
that was a
Is
thing.
Rob
That in
Scout
this
growing
game you
some
don't have to get rid of
actual
your
facial
ninja.
hair, or is
The
that
stage
just
end
the
times are
camera?
the same.
And where did Josh the Funk Doc's sick beard go?
Where did Josh the Funk
It
Doc's
is
sick
RIP,
beard go?
never to return.
That's the real question.
Rip in peace.
Gave it to Road Scout. Gave it to
We got $10 from Walker Summers. Here's to the awesome people at SDA. Keep up the amazing marathon. Put my money towards getting the dark ending in Dark Souls. If that's
All the
thing we can
people at
vote on,
SDA
otherwise-
have something to say about SDA in
Let's
a
do
little
some
bit
extra
here too.
bosses. Dark ending it is. We got $15 from Damian Moody. Getting in on the Curse of Darkness bag and Shield Rod Perler. Put this $15 towards saving the animals in Super Metroid because without them, Fusion wouldn't exist. We got a $100 donation.
Oh yeah, look at
from Ryan
Sinister.
Myers. Soten for
See,
the
this
win.
is the old
Aria
strat there.
Sorrow run was
I remember
amazing,
doing
too.
that strat.
Bomb Scouts,
Downfire him.
tremendous.
No risk of getting hit.
He's got some money in his pocket, though, right? It's 110. We've got.
I didn't
30
even remember we used to do it that way.
Hey,
What?
we're approaching like the final two or so minutes. Can we just have a little bit of serious time until we finish out the game?
Serious time. Oh yeah, this one. Oh wait, sorry, serious time. I'll be quiet. Gumtron, quiet. Cosmic, we're doing serious time right now, so everyone please be quiet. And Cuddy, shh, serious time.
Alright, get ready for time.
Get ready for time, here we go.
Time.
Boom, 10:58.
Oh my god.
Like 11.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was the race.
There it was. Definitely a good race.
This was the race that got me
Okay, so we
into
both just did
speedrunning.
the SDA run right now.
I watched that and I was like, oh man, that was pretty awesome. I'm gonna speedrun this now. So it was around this point where where I started my journey. See, this was Awesome Games Done Quick 2013. And I went back in my VODs, which is actually kind of a fun little journey. So if I go back all the way in my VODs here, you can see this is when I started streaming. Is that good? For a race time, it's actually pretty good. And as you'll see right here, that was a 10:58. And looking back, my PB in 2013 was a 10:04. That was my first completed run that I felt like highlighting. I got, it looks like a couple days later, 10:02. Okay. Then I switched to the wrong game. This was a big mistake. And that was that. I was like, Ninja Gaiden 1 kind of sucks, and I'm out of here. Okay, so I dipped out for a really long time. I don't know how Hopefulness hasn't watched all of these Toho things from start to back, but this is my Phantasm clear in Toho 7. But yeah, going around here, I came back into speedrunning in December of that year. So like I said before, this was AGDQ 2013. And I was playing SteamWorld Dig, which was a game that had just come out at the time. I did an Ogmo percent run at Calithon relatively recently. Yeah, look at that pod. That was a fun run. Yeah. So SteamWorld Dig is when I came back to speedrunning, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Moon Crystal Era will be up here. I'll show it. I actually got the record in this game. There was only one other runner, and I took this game actually pretty seriously, and I pushed it pretty far down. It wasn't until, actually, if you look at the leaderboards for this game, you can see my time. I don't, it's probably not very competitive right now, but for the era, it was pretty good. So yeah, then I did some other stuff, Ninja Guide or Wizardry, Super Meat Boy Ogmo percent, Super Meat Boy regular. So I don't remember the exact era when this happened. But the thing I want to bring up is the old SDA forum stuff and Duckfist's PB and world record. So if you all don't know, there was this old site called SDA, and I say old, technically it's still active. I don't know if people are still posting on the forums, but this is a great dive back into history here. This was the speedrun.com, like before speedrun.com was a thing. This was the thing that kind of separated SDA from something like speedrun.com is that they lucky I don't know if there's like a direct correlation. I think they were probably both existing around the same time. Yeah, my guess is Twin Galaxies was first, but they were kind of had different things in mind. SDA, the big point of SDA was to have like nice high quality like verified runs. So you could get a world record and submit it to SDA, but it might not get posted. So it wasn't necessarily to showcase world records. It would, like, if it satisfied their quality for a record, it would get posted. But there's like a minimum level of quality, like video quality and stuff like that. And then if you dig into this, there's actually some like guides of like how to make sure that your VODs are gonna make, pass the minimum bar and stuff like that. Yeah, right. But yeah, back at old school, you would mail people VHS tapes. So I never did that. But yeah, Twin Galaxies, they didn't want verification. They just wanted you to say you did it. But anyways, going to Ninja Gaiden 2, this was where the discussion of this game was. So if you look at this, and this is where I'm, wait a minute, this said Arcus a minute ago. Oh, it said Arcus down here. Okay. So verifiable world record times. Verifiable in this instance means a video of the run is available for viewing and done by someone known to be of a high skill level in the game, not STA rules. If anyone knows of a verifiable Japanese time for Ninja Gaiden 3 that is faster than Liger's run, please post it here. Okay, so you can see a couple of things here. And this was like the leaderboard, right? Good old Ozzy 88 with a 1630 was in 1, 2, 3 in 6th place on the leaderboard. But yeah, I don't actually remember this, that Arcus had a record. In fact, actually, I don't know, maybe I did. I don't know, it doesn't ring a bell. I remember Arcus was godlike at the game. I don't know, Cosmic. I think this is like a leaderboard. I think this was their attempt at like a leaderboard, and this was the records. So I don't know why they weren't like doubly included, right? Like Exo's run here, for example, is not here, but I think they just took the records and put them up top. So yeah, maybe in that case, Duckfist had the record here. So the thing about the whole Duckfist thing though is that, and I remember when he was doing this, so I'm trying to go about this chronologically. So because I'm trying to keep my perspective in here. Exo ran on VC. I know like his run on his world record run was VC, but okay, going back here, the reason I started playing Ninja Gaiden 1 in the first place is because I wanted to do races with these guys. And we actually did races a long time ago. So it was like me. Let me actually go to speedrun.com here real quick. Or I could even go, no, let me just go to speedrun.com. Some of these old names are people that we used to play the game with a long time ago. Actually, let me do this. Go to Speedruns Live, the place where... Wait, is Speedruns Live still a thing? It better be. Okay, good. Game list. Alphabetical. So this is where we used to do races, and you used to have to get on IRC. Hey, some integrals, thank you. So most of the people in here probably know about this and IRC and everything. But definitely in the new era of people have no idea. So you would get onto IRC, you would join like this IRC channel, and then, you know, it would do a countdown, and this was all kind of like uniform on this one big platform, and there were bots that would keep track of the results and stuff. So I'll put this here in chat too. If we go all the way back, this is when these races first started getting recorded, and you can see that Sinister and Duckfist were doing lots and lots of runs. And I started playing, like I said, in like 2013. Good call. You can see Arcus. You know, Arcus started racing with everyone. in... Wait, it's you? Where? Where's Blecky? Oh, Blecky, you won! How were you supposed to know that guy was there? I don't know. Good job, Blecky. I think that... Was that a blind race? I don't know. So... Yeah, Arcus started, it looked like in November of 2012, at least in Ninja Gaiden 2. So there were Ninja Gaiden 1 races also. Trying to go back to when I started here. Yeah. So this, is that the first race I did? Yeah, this is the first race I did, and I was like so super nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, it's, you know, it's these guys that are like, they're godlike, and you know, it's you know, so anyways, that was a lot of fun. This is the first time I beat these people. Okay. And yeah, looking at this was like so cool, being so close with Duckfist. You know, he beat me by a second. I was actually in the lead for most of the race here, but I ended up dying somewhere. So then, yeah, I stopped racing around, let's see. Oh, I was still racing all the way up to March 2013. Okay. So anyways, that brings us to a different era where, yeah, I don't remember the dates for all of this stuff, but this is like a little murky in my eyes, and I'm not sure if someone can kind of verify the history here, but I think Ruby had like a 1042 or something, and I'm not sure where it was like hosted or anything like that. Now, if we go to this leaderboard here and we go to Duckfist, yeah, I guess we thought it was a 1041. Okay. So that was 12 years ago. This would have been what, 2010? Man, that would be fun to watch. Kind of tempted to watch it. But I have a lot of things that I want to watch, so I don't think I'll watch that in detail right now. But I remember watching Duckfist grind for this, and when he got it, I was like, "Yeah, USA Duckfist! You know, my hero is getting the record," and it was so exciting. And what ended up happening, and supposedly, I don't know where this was or like how it was even found out. Supposedly, Ruby had a video of him with a faster time that was like a camera pointed at a TV, and like it was legitimate. But like supposedly on a technicality, Duckfist never had the record because of that. I still would need to like I don't think I've ever seen that video, but Duckfist claims that that's the case. At least, you know, from what I know. So despite that, I mean, I in my mind and like my personal belief, I feel like Duckfist had like, I guess maybe not the world record, but like I don't know, it was the world record in my heart. Anyways, I felt like he deserved it. So what ended up happening, and let's see, again, I'm trying to remember the timeline here. Hello, Dot. I don't have the record yet in my timeline. So I want to go through this around here because oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, the Jimmy record. Yeah. So this happened. When did this happen? I think it was like October of something. Does it say? Oh no, it's January. Okay. Wait, no. February. Okay. 2013. Now, what ended up happening, let's see if we can find this. Ohan. I don't know if it lets you search in there, like, how do you find someone's, well, I can find it right here. So, like I said, that was like January 2015. So, if we go down here, I should have, like I said, I didn't have enough time to prepare fully ahead of time here. Oh yeah, I got a 215. That was the first 215. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Going back. This is around where it happened. Wait, I think, are my times off? No. Okay, 2013. Sorry, February. Okay. And then down here. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's where he got it. And then this person, Susan. Anyone notice that ALPL publishes Ninja Gaiden 2 1027 emulator RTA recently? Although I wonder it's reliable. So this was like less than a month after Duckfist got his time. And see, this is the great thing. So I tested a route used in the run and it's doable. Some strategies are rather tough. The 2-round kill of boss 3 may partly explain why ALPL didn't reset after getting 217 and 2-1. The run is true reminds me of Heideman's improvement of Contra. Personally, I give it 30% credibility. Arcus, I agree that route is doable, although I'm not sure exactly what rules Japanese player play by. Also, I don't think I will be baking 1030 in this game. Good one, Arcus. And then there's some more comments around here. And like for example here, I was basically claiming that this was impossible, the Act 3 boss kill. And the thing here is that most of us were kind of thinking like, I don't know, that run is like too good to be true, right? Well, what ended up happening is after searching a little bit more, see, some people are thinking that it's the TAS. After, I forget where this actually happened. It turns out that run was Ohon's run. So he was doing it under like an alias or something. So it was Ohon that did that. ALPL is what people thought his name was. And it was so innovative. It had all of this like new stuff that we didn't think was like possible. But Ohon just like did the Ohon thing and like took it to another level. So this record was the record for a very long time standing. You can see here it was like February 23 in 2013. Now, when I kind of broke on the scene again was in late 2014. Okay, so what ended up happening is let me search something more interesting to look at here. I don't know where my speedruns.com thing went. Oh, okay. So the thing that was that got me into playing this game again was I was watching like Sinister, I think went to Duckfist's place and they did like a joint stream. It might have been the other way around. I think it was Sinister went to Duckfist's place though. And they did a joint stream where they played a bunch of games and they were doing Ninja Gaiden 2. And I was like, "Oh, this game's awesome." And they made a comment that in AGDQ they had a relay that was coming up. And they said they were going to do Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, 3 all in a row. Now, this was in like October or something, or September maybe, when I watched the stream. And AGDQ was coming up in just a few months. And at this point, that would have been AGDQ 2015, which was pretty like. I mean, AGDQ has evolved a lot. But let's just say that it was much less like. What's the word? Like super high standards and like all of these rules set in place and stuff like that. So what they had done is they had submitted the relay to AGDQ and it got accepted. And what ended up happening is they didn't have runners for Ninja Gaiden 2. They had, I think Jorf actually at the time was one of the runners, and they had it all set up for the other games, I think. But they didn't have Ninja Gaiden 2, so they were trying to find someone else. And what they said is that they're basically going to take like the best time. And that person is going to be the other person in the race. So like I said, the rules are really relaxed back then. Now it's like you have to register like 3 months in advance or like otherwise you can't even get into the venue. So at this point, it was like, okay, if I want to prove myself, I can do this and I can run this at AGDQ. And so that's what got me into it. Now, there was another runner that wanted to do the same thing. His name is Gus Mancini. So Gus Mancini was, well, afterward, he was known for Pacifist. He did a lot of innovations with Pacifist in all three games. He did some really impressive stuff. But around that time, it was Gus Mancini and I that were going back and forth with kind of like trying to take that second place so that we could basically, go to GDQ. And you can see here that this, and I remember Sinister had said something like, yeah, we're going to do some races and we're going to kind of watch to see like who is doing the best and like that person's going to get picked. So we did this race and I was like, oh man, Jorf is like way too good, but I beat Gus, I'm like, I'm so excited and I'm doing these runs and stuff. This is October 18th. So we had all of these runs that we just like kept doing. And yeah, we did another one. I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it, right? So yeah, we're gonna watch it, Beerful. So you can see that we did a bunch of races, right? And I'm getting pretty good. Okay. I'm beating Gus some more. Now, what I did is I went back in my VODs and you can see that I was actually making some pretty big improvements pretty quickly. So that was October 1st, it was a 1051. October 2nd, a day later, I got a 1045. And this is when the game started getting really fun. So this is one of the reasons I pushed actually to have the Ninja license be set to like 1040 instead of 11 minutes. Because I honestly didn't have that much fun with the game around this era. Like, sure, it was cool and all, but it was around this time when I felt really rewarded for playing. And Gus and I were really close up to this point, but then this was my big breakthrough in November, where I was like, doing really, really well. Okay, and then November 14th, a few days later, here's my 1028. Now, Ohan's, or what was his alias here, ALPL, had the record still at this time. And it was also around this time that Jorf was doing runs. And yeah, what was Ohan's time? Was it a 10:23 or something? I don't know. I don't think this beat it, but I could be wrong. But Jorf, oh no, I think it did actually. I think it was a 10:20. Is it 10:27? Okay. So yeah, I beat Ohan's time, but Jorf had also beat it, and Jorf got it first. So it was around this time that Jorf and I were actually like kind of even almost, and and Jorf was better than I was, but I still thought like, okay, maybe I can get the record first. I can get lucky. And if you look here, this is Jorf's records, or his runs still, right, from 7 years ago, where he got the 10:23. That was in November of whatever time. And I ended up being 1 second off. Okay, this was December 19. Now, at this point, I was verified to be in GDQ. And like, I was my flight, I don't remember when my flight was. It was like early January. But December 27th is when I beat Jorf. So Jorf, although being like an incredible Ninja Gaiden 2 runner, just kind of like fell in this like bad time slot of getting the record and holding it for like 2 weeks. And then I take it from him. I think it might have been a little longer than that, but yeah, that's what ended up happening. And also Jorf couldn't go to GDQ. So I think it was like financial reasons or something came up. So what ended up happening is that I was gonna go, and Gus Mancini was gonna go. So it was me and Gus that were gonna be the two Ninja Gaiden 2 runners. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and because the relay is a little bit long. I'm gonna go ahead and get that started right now. And no spoilers, please, because this is one of the best races of all time. If someone says something, don't believe it, okay? It's probably wrong. Let me go to the actual GDQ channel here. This is not an hour long. There's a lot of dead time. All right, so here we go. We can start this a little bit later.
Yes. And yeah, since we were saying, a lot of the mechanics in the speedrun are around collecting spin slash, and just in general, the game, it's just around really, really tight platforming, wall jumping really quickly, which is actually
how's the
quite a
volume?
mechanic. You see some Dexter squeezing in some practice here, and Ohan squeezing in some of the sword canceling practice, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Absolutely, both players with an excellent stage 119 on the clock.
Okay.
That's pretty much perfect.
I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Enjoy this race.
As you pick up the requisite
Be right
info,
back.
You do have to recollect the items as you go along. You lose spin slash after each stage.
And Dexter missing a ninpo drop, dropping down on the ladder a little bit there. That lower ninpo count might force him to change his strategy up a little bit.
Yeah, you can cancel using the spin slash in midair by pressing down, because if you just press B, you're always going to use the spin slash, which costs 5 ninpo.
Ohan taking a brief lead here as we wrap up stage 2-1. Probably going to see about a 110 on his timer, which is pretty solid. You'll see both players swapping out their spin slash for the windmill shuriken, which is probably the only instance you'll see something like that throughout this run.
Well, Ohon may use it again in Act 6 possibly, and he dodged a hammer there.
That was very close.
Pretty close. Yeah, he could have died there. Those Hammer Brothers can throw their hammers at random intervals, random times, and random trajectories, so they can kill you pretty easily.
Yeah, and given the knockback in this game when you take damage, it's very dangerous when you're platforming and you have to deal with some of the randomness of at least just the Hammer Brothers. Everything else is relatively consistent in this game.
And you can see here the first instance of the invincible fire wheel. It's the only time you're going to see it in Ninja Gaiden 1, but you'll see it throughout the series.
Both players getting a really good bat boost there in the last screen of 2-2.
And they're going to be able to pick up spin slash once again. As
So
it's
just to
needed for the boss.
preface this a little bit,
Looks like the situation has worked itself
the
out.
teams
Dexter's
ended up
okay,
being
so
me.
they want 10
I was
going into
like
the boss. Very close there. Nice adjustment
I guess
by Dexter.
parody for our team in some sense.
And 107s for both players, very consistent 2-2.
Dexter, who is a phenomenal Ninja Gaiden 1 runner, but he's up against Ohon, who was basically the carry for their team. And Ohon is, you know, he's the guy. If you don't know Ohon, then I don't know.
And in order to do
He's
that, they're gonna have to do it.
just a legendary runner.
Up here as they jump
This
off
was the
ledge,
first.
because the
I think he had the.
artifacts
I think he had the
you can
Ninja
see
Gaiden
just
1
on
record
screen in time to
at
pick
this
it up.
time.
Ohon with,
If
some
not,
very
he
nice movement
was.
there. Let's see if either of
He
these players
definitely
can go
had it
131.
Ohon has
for a very
just
long
had a
time.
perfect 3-1 right there.
130, very nice. You need good clock luck in order to get 130.
So-
Dexter also getting 130. These guys are pretty
Yeah,
much
this
neck
is
and
the
neck
first
at this
GDQ
point.
where they did
Ohon
like
may
a
go for some
big.
different
Let's bring a
strategies
bunch
on
of
the
people
stage.
over
There's
from
bird
Japan.
boost and manipulation that you
So
can
there
do
was
that's
Ohon that
maybe about
came,
half a second too slow.
Oxless,
They're going for
I
it.
heard Dexter also
Hanage
did this,
Belmundo.
yeah, we'll see what he did, but
Dexter was not able to get
I
his
think
time
that was
right
it.
there.
made the bird despawn.
Looks like he's got the bird, and
He's got the boost. Very nice. That's very
He's
difficult.
got it.
Very impressive by
Very
Ohon.
impressive.
Dexter's still keeping pace. Again, a lot of the time savers
Yeah,
in the
Ohon
scene
was
are pretty
Hotarubi
small.
2.0.
They seem marginal, but they certainly add up over the course of the run.
He's
especially
just
in the
nuts at
Okay,
everything
Ohon's
that
in.
he
This
does.
last jump is very, very tricky. It's just pixel jump. Both players made it over.
get it. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
This
Ohon
is
is
about
just
50
so
second time
talented
also
all
he missed
over the
that jump.
place.
A very nice quick kill by Ohon with the boss on the left side of the
He
screen. We'll
is
see if Dexter
amazing
can
at
match
Mega
that.
Man.
Missed one out of the five
He
combos.
has a lot of Super Nintendo stuff.
Very well played by both runners so far, and we get into Act 4.
I don't
where
remember
it's a
Kenny.
little bit early.
It was either Ohon or
There are some
Becco.
tricky
They
boosts
both
coming
like just
up. There
blew
are
the
some
game out of the
maneuvers
water.
and some other things to watch out for.
Yeah, coming up right here, we'll see a bat boost, which is very, it's a very precise timing. I'd say it's like a 2-frame window, and if they slightly miss it, okay.
It's okay.
Actually,
you walk off.
BJW
They can
did
see
pretty
right
well
off
in that
there. There's
race,
a small
but
chance
if
that
like
they might
Dexter
get
can
knocked
catch up
out.
a little bit here.
There he
and
goes.
gets it.
Does get it.
So Dexter
Saves
is
it in a couple of seconds.
actually.
So,
getting
also
back
about
in.
this
Ohon
race
squeezing
is
the wall climb.
oh I was still
Yeah.
talking about the
Very
runners.
Very nice.
Also on their team
Dexter doing a little bit of
was
wall climbing. Now,
Infested
they both saved
Riche.
enough
By the way,
negative
Riche
to
and
use
Dexter
space
were
slash here
both
to make
from
this act a
Sweden.
little bit easier. And
And
some of the
I
luck
think it was
can happen
Riche's
from the
first
Hammer Brothers, as we
GDQ.
like to call them.
Dexter, I'm pretty sure had been
Dexter
there
getting some
before. I
luck
could
with
be
the Hammer Brother
wrong,
there, collecting
but
the
Dexter
info,
is
though. They
pretty
should both
like
have an easy time on the bridge.
well
Goal for this
seasoned.
stage is you want to get a 120.
Riche and I
It's pretty
started
fast
playing
time.
around the same time, I think.
Okay, Dexter now out of impo.
So
unless
on
this
our
guy drops
team
down.
was
Oh, no,
the
reset
wild
right
card
there to
of
start
Crack
so that way
Attack.
he can still make it over this gap.
And
Ohon now
Ohon
moves
Who's a
getting
Ninja
120.
Gaiden 3 runner.
No problem. His run
If
is
you don't
going
know
very,
Crack
very
Attack,
well so
you're
far. Let's see
missing
if Dexter
out.
gets the
He's
boost.
quite
He does.
the person.
119.
So
You'll never meet anyone
this
like
is where the
him
game really
ever.
begins to ramp up in difficulty. This is a much
And,
longer stage than the previous stages. Lots of difficult platforms.
Yeah, so
Ohon making it up.
I
Just
think
gonna
they
flash
were
that
probably
over, that's kind of a
slightly
tricky jump there.
favored.
We'll see some.
Reach had the
see some,
Ninja Gaiden 3
really tricky
record.
wall climbing.
Ohon had the
Ohon
Ninja
sets
Gaiden
up
1
this back.
record.
This
I had the
bullet
Ninja Gaiden 2
from this
record.
machine gun guy.
And
Crack
there's
Attack
gonna
was
be a
still
lot of
pretty
damage boosted
solid, but
from
yeah,
this
he was a
there.
wild
He's doing a
card.
lot, and Ohon again, as long as he can get these next
Gus
few damage boosts
was
down,
also
another very
good.
nice stage time, and then you'll get a one-hit kill on the boss, and he's through.
And also, like I said, to preface this, we did a practice race in the private practice room, and Sinister and Duckfist commentated that while we did it. It was like, you know, completely supposed to emulate the real race, and it went horrible. It went
And both players
absolutely
entering a
horrible.
very dangerous stage.
So
gets the hammer brother
this was the
manipulation.
first
By stopping the
time
screen
or
as
like
the
a
hammer brother
relay or
spawns, and
anything
then it
was
makes him drop
done
down
at
a
a
little bit,
GDQ.
using just enough room to boost.
That is
And it was a
unbelievable
total
boost
disaster.
attack there, and
So
Owen just
watch
getting it
Dexter real
easily.
quick,
This
because
stage
you're
is
gonna
long
see
screen,
him
so if either player were to die,
goof
they'd have to
up
start all the way
right
back at the
around
beginning of the
here.
stage. It's one of the worst deaths that you can have in the game. Ohun gonna go for the
Wait, did
bird
he?
boost
No, no,
here.
no. It's gonna, yeah, it's gonna be up
And
here.
He's gonna have to be a little careful. He's gonna use the windmill shuriken. That was a good backup strat. He
Very,
also
very
picks up the
good
health there.
So
with that
watch
backup
Dexter. He's
strat
gonna
as
do
well.
something
So
silly,
you
and
have
he's
to take
gonna
a lot of
shake his
damage on
head.
the stage. Dexter
Right
getting
here.
the bird boost as well.
He's like, I
And
don't know
he's
what
gonna
to
have play
do.
it a little safe.
Okay,
He just wasn't
did it.
feeling it. Wasn't feeling it.
The reason
later,
that
they
that
can be
happened
losing about
is
45
because
seconds later.
during the
Absolutely.
practice race, Dexter
Still a
died in
1:15,
that
solid
section,
time for Dexter. Dexter
and
keeping
that
pace,
was
but
what
Ohun
turned
is
it
just
into
on
a
an
disaster.
amazing run at this point.
Absolutely, this is looking very nice.
So
for team. Which
I
teams
had
have
told
strengths
him,
and
I was like,
No, I
just
think
don't
it's
die,
team
Dexter.
talent.
Like,
No,
it's okay if your time is like,
So moving
you know,
into 5-2,
mediocre.
you'll see
We
the players
really
really
just don't
stocking
want
up
any
on
deaths.
a lot of ninpo. They'll need,
And
they'll
that's
need
what
as
we're
much
really
speed
gonna
slashes,
focus on.
as they can muster throughout
And
5-3,
yeah,
which is the
to
next
see what
stage.
happens. Like I said,
barely
I
grabbing
think
the
I can
bottom.
catch
Let's see
up
if
in
he gets
Ninja
the
Gaiden
boost
2
here.
if you're
Oh,
behind.
missed the boost, but
Ninja
still
Gaiden 3,
1:16,
we're not
extremely
sure.
strong time.
But
Dexter
yeah,
has a little bit
that's
of an
what we're
opportunity
gonna
to
do.
passively make up some time if he can get
So-
through the screen nicely.
That you see
Yeah, in the
Dexter taking
practice
ultimate
room,
route over the top there.
It was
And
pretty
he
getting
bad.
the boost up to the
The
top.
116 as well. He's got.
I think Gus ended up having a really
here.
good Ninja Gaiden 2 run in the practice room.
There is a dangerous hammer brother through the
And
screen.
mine
See
was
how Ohun
okay,
handles
but it didn't
Oh, that's
matter
careful.
because
Spin slash
Yeah.
just
Dexter
enough so
had
that if
lost
that
a
guy
bunch
throws
of
the hammer just
time.
as you're coming up to the ladder, he
And
can
then
move on
Crack
the
Attack
edge.
ended
Very
up
tricky boost
dying.
coming up here for Ohun. He gets it easily.
So like we ended up losing by like, I don't know, a lot in that
That is
practice
the biggest
race.
time saver in Ninja Gaiden in terms of damage boosting. You skip
So,
that entire ladder. It's Dexter's
I didn't
turn.
have
You
super
get it.
high expectations
Dexter, no
going into
problem.
this, and I was like, let's see if we
Very,
can
very
make a
strong
show
stage
out
by
of
both
it.
players here so far. Dexter coming up
So at this
the
point, I
last
was
screen,
pretty
Owen coming up to the boss.
happy.
And
I
both
was
players
like,
again with
Dexter's
enough
not
info
too
and
far
maintaining spin
behind.
slash.
We
We're
have
headed into Act
like,
6,
he hasn't
the
died.
finale of Ninja
I can
Gaiden
get
1, and things are not going to get
can
any
get
easier.
time back.
Beautiful 5-3 by both players, if I might add. They both just completely crushed it. It's a very, very difficult stage. But,
Absolutely.
as we're moving into the final act of the game, 6-1 is kind
I
of
was
calm
a l-
before the storm.
I don't remember how
Some of the
nervous
enemies
I
here can be a
was.
bit
I think I was
trolly,
like kind of
just
nervous.
with how the hitboxes work, but I don't think the players will have any
Once
problems.
I
We'll see
started
what happens in,
playing,
stage 6-2, which is one of the more
Now
difficult
it just
stages
like
in
kind
the
of
You'll see Owen
synced.
getting a little flashy here.
I think
This
I
is
was
the
nervous
start
for
again.
like the
This is
first 20
to-
seconds of my
to
run,
make sure that none of the enemies can troll him at all.
and then it just completely like felt
And he
clean
is
after that.
probably going to use the orange throwing star again here for the same reason. Got to get rid of that hammer, brother. See, that hammer was going to get him, but he made sure it didn't. Dexter is through with a 130. So
This is my first
he's,
GDQ run.
appearance of these
Actually,
jetpack
yeah, I
moves
forgot
in
to
6-2.
mention that.
Some of these jumps are very tricky.
I
You see
was,
Owen manipulating the position of that one jetpack.
I was-
moves
I was
slightly
new
boost up
blood.
to that ladder. Very nice.
In like this
Dexter keeping
big
pace, though. I mean, both of these guys are on an
big
incredible
event,
pace right now
right?
for
It
this
was
game.
it was kind of
See if Dexter goes for the jetpack
He
boost.
does that
He
in
is
the
gonna-
first room. That first room is
yeah.
very, very
It was definitely quite the
We have Owen in
experience.
the AVGN room.
You know, you're on a team
Making it
event
look quite
where like they never did
Damage
anything
boost
like
there.
this
We're
before.
going to see probably one more
There's
damage
no
boost
team
on the
event.
screen.
I mean, there might have been
And
some
he's
sort
not
of
good
team
for
event,
fast
but
boost.
this is
A
definitely the
wise
first
decision.
relay
He's
race.
gonna take the normal
Okay,
boost.
and he's in there.
And
And it
108,
was
incredible
it
fight.
was a like
108 is crazy.
it felt like it was something that kind of set the
Alright,
stone.
6-3 has a couple tricky damage
because,
boosts. Manages his ninpo in a very smart
Is
way,
that
which
the
allows
term to
him
use? Set the
Oh, it's
stone?
again
I don't know.
there.
He was
I
not
think
playing
you know
away
what
the
I
first
mean.
time,
Yeah,
but
he
he
got
was
a
able
little
to
bit
recover very, very
If
nicely.
this went poorly,
Bad luck on the hammer brother.
it probably would have deterred
Owen's
them
discarding the
from
rest of
doing
his,
relays in
oh,
the
you're gonna
future.
rid
make
of
one
it.
slash on this guy, which is
So if
difficult,
this went
setting up the star
well,
boost.
Yeah,
looks
laid
like
the
he's
groundwork. There we go.
And
okay.
he had to skip it. No
Set the
problem. He's still in the
stage.
lead.
Yep.
That'll give Dexter an opportunity. to
Ran
catch up
over
by
the
about 3
rocks.
seconds, though,
But
which
it's
he
impressive
really
that
needs.
Ohan was able to quickly adapt and
Yeah.
notice that it was slightly off and still make it across relatively
So
Yes, because that would have been a bad death. It definitely
Dexter
would have
also
his
with a
team
pretty
behind.
solid setup. And
Dexter
he's up
gets
there.
the
seminal,
boost.
kind of.
Nicely done. And Ohun heading into the final final boss rush, there's going to be 3 bosses. This is kind of a staple in Ninja Gaiden games. The first one is free. Because
So
he
it's
does
good
the
that this
spin
went
slash,
well.
but after that,
Mowed the
spin
lawn,
slash
there
is
we
gone.
go.
He's going to have to use his sword canceling, which is done by mashing down and B.
And Ohan here,
You can get multiple
he doesn't
slashes
have any
instead of
funny
just
Watch
grip.
two.
closely.
Look at him
For
go.
the controllers on both players as they prepare to do this very difficult.
And also, this is great because we didn't have any sort of
And
Ohan's
Ohun
very,
with a
very
great first
consistent with
cycle.
We just
Wanna
said
get 3
screw it.
cycles
We're doing
there.
everything
Second cycle wasn't
RTA.
as good. Dexter
So the
was really
controller
happy. This
swap
another
is
chance for him to
RTA.
catch up a little bit.
You know, I think it was like as soon as the boss health gets 0, it was like we're gonna switch out the controller super fast, and then Gus is gonna start his next game, and so watch
Dexter
reach here.
There it is.
Very nice.
All right.
Oh, and look at Dexter. Dexter has the best kill.
Final boss.
Alright.
This is very critical
Now
here.
both-
If either player dies, they get sent back to the beginning of Act 6.
And both players are probably going to forgo killing the tail in this scenario.
Oh, and he got it.
And he got it.
Oh,
Dexter,
go on, Jimmy.
Dexter having to back away and kill the tail. Those goos deal 3
Yeah,
damage apiece. Dexter's going to have to.
Dexter
take
ended up
save
losing a
save
lot
his
of time
team.
here,
He's got to be careful.
and he has to be like
Not
so
afford to get hit
careful.
here.
Okay. Ninja Gaiden won.
He was 1 hit away, and we're already into Ninja Gaiden 2, as you can see. We have an amazing race here.
Oh,
so
interesting.
far.
Performance by
Garrett.
Dexter and Ohan here.
Okay.
Yeah,
you can see that,
we-
Gus is already
We
starting
realized the
to
whole
pick up.
RTA strat
And one of
was
the big
like
differences in Ninja Gaiden 2
kinda
is
silly.
you don't get to use
they
spin slash.
they did it
It
better
is-
where it was like
it
there's gonna
is,
be like a
shadow clones,
30
which allow you to do
second
extra
buffer
damage,
or something.
to bosses. There's the first
And
shadow
yeah,
clone.
I saw
You can
this.
see
I
Jimmy
was like,
is up on Team Frank.
all right, I'm down
So
like
both
you
these
know
runners very
20
experienced in this
seconds,
game, but
15
again, the
seconds,
first
whatever,
marathon
but
run, so let's
I can
see
make
the
it up.
pressure's getting to them. Both
I'm
of their
feeling
teammates
good.
Did their job. Now it's their turn.
Jimmy with that shadow clone pickup without defeating that enemy. That's slightly faster. So we're already seeing some small time savings coming from Team Franker Z.
By the way, we're Team
Decent
Franker
kill
Z.
here, but,
They're Team
Jimmy can
Kappa.
catch up a little bit if he can get the quick kill on the
I
boss,
suggested
which is
those
key
names, and they
for
were
this
like,
level.
okay.
Let's see if Jimmy can do it.
Here we go. Do I get it? Oh no, that kill's way too hard.
Not quite.
Not quite able
but
to get
still
it,
a
but that's
decent
okay.
kill.
So yeah,
If
Ninja
you
Gaiden
find a
2,
version
there's
of this
no more
video
spin slash, no
with
more
the,
instant boss kills.
chat
The next best thing is to stack
over,
Salt
like,
Tower
on the
with two
side,
shadow clones and
it's
take use,
amazing.
Art of the Firewheel. That way you can do up to 3 damage.
It's just
per attack.
Franker Z and Kappa, like all.
And one of the other main
You know,
differences
everyone's
in
rooting
Ninja
for
Gaiden
their
2 is you
favorite
start
team,
seeing
and it's
stage
amazing.
hazards. So in the next stage after the train, there is going to be some snow falling, and you're going to see it kind of blowing in different directions, and the wind can certainly carry.
We get
you
knocked
more
back
than
in
hits that you
2-1.
will
That's
encounter
a
in Ninja Gaiden games.
hallmark of a
So
good
having
run.
to wait for the wind to change directions here before you can
Rep
proceed.
Narf.
You're going to see Gus navigating through the screen a little carefully because it's very easy to die right there. So he takes
Nope.
that little
Narf.
safe
And
and
step very safely. It's quite scary. So you'll notice that each time a player enters a new screen in Stage 3-2, the win cycle resets, and it's the same cycle every time, so the players can plan out exactly how
I'm
they
gonna
want
do
to
my
do
Robert
that,
T. Chug.
including this
Grab
little,
this
gap
weight in
crossing
here.
with that nice damage boost.
And Gus is through.
Ooh,
Missing the bird
Yeah,
boost.
Gus trying to manipulate that bird so he can get a slight boost up to the ladder. If Jimmy gets that, that'll shave off a little bit more time.
That
here.
will. And Gus not getting the clip. He's going to get a 207. Jimmy on pace for a 210 here. Let's see if he can finish it out.
Yep,
I get the
looking good.
That'll catch
210.
him up 3
I
seconds.
don't remember.
Nice quick kill there. You can see that they jumped during the boss
Oh,
fight. That's
yes.
And
actually
Gus getting
cancelable.
the,
Oh,
Jimmy
209.
getting that inside ladder grab, very nice.
He got a 209, so he caught up a little bit.
So both players making it out to a very scary stage. So this is probably going to set the pace for the rest of the run. I'm sure they're quite relieved right now.
Oh yeah,
And
that's,
so you'll
that's a tough
You're
stage.
seeing the next stage hazard here in stage 3-1, which is the kind of
The darkness.
Yes, it cycles on and off, so you can't see where you're platforming. But these players really don't need to see the stage when they're speedrunning it.
Yeah, these guys have played it enough times. They know where everything is. They know where the enemies are. Gus having a little bit of trouble there.
Recovering nicely though.
Yeah, he has been recovering. The main thing is to just not die because, like I mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of randomness in this game. In fact, there's virtually none. So it just comes down to execution, which almost puts more pressure on you because you really don't have anybody to blame but yourself.
I don't
if there's
think
any
so.
mistakes.
I mean, when we
And,
started, I don't know if
also,
you saw it, but he gave me like a
shadow
pat, and he's
clones
like, "You can
making
do
the,
it."
Angel boss is significantly
I
slower.
was like, "I know, crack.
Absolutely.
We got this." Team
So moving
Franker
into
Z.
3-2, this is everyone's favorite Ninja Gaiden song, I think. Really difficult platforming.
Alright, let's see how spicy this
We
is.
see Gus coming up to this.
Hopefulness
really
gonna be
section,
excited.
which is,
Hey,
kind of
Vigo.
staggered
Hey,
platforms
Knucklebuster,
and
thanks.
birds, but with a very nice, consistent way through the stage here.
And you'll notice these guys are doing this kind of sword slashing off of the ladder to kind of, they gain height and momentum while they're doing that. They're not just doing that to showboat. That does actually save time.
Yeah, each time they do
Yep,
that, it saves
no spoilers.
between 2 and 3 frames depending on how well they execute it.
It's
but
some-
also
some
very
people's
tricky
first
maneuver
view.
because, just due to the nature of the input, they could accidentally use ninjutsu or they could just slow down. So it's kind of a
Oh,
sacrifice.
there we go.
Let's see if Jimmy
Alright.
can get the quick kill. He's notorious for getting this.
Yeah, Jimmy
I'm notorious for
fantastic.
failing it here.
It's not
3-2,
quite,
by
but
the way.
still
2
very
or 7
strong.
on the timer is very nice though.
Yes.
So I'm catching up slowly.
Now both players are picking up
Right?
these scroll items, which actually increase your overall
Catching up
info
slowly.
count. You can see that they're both at 60. There's generally one scroll per act.
7
and
seconds
you missed the
behind.
first scroll because they're generally
I
placed in
started like
difficult spots to
15
pick up.
seconds or
There's
so, I don't know.
oftentimes a backup scroll. So for instance,
Slowly
in the next
gaining
screen that,
ground.
Gus
Hello,
is in
Mr.
right here,
Nintendo.
there's going to be a scroll and a backup scroll in case he misses the first one because you can die.
Yeah, and
He gets it.
if the players do miss out on the act scroll, it makes the final stages of the game a little bit more difficult, as having a maximum info for the final boss is critical for a solid time in this game.
Absolutely, and both players getting.
Oh, by the way, this is my
last
first
platforming section is
event
a little bit
where I
tricky
ran on
because you're gonna
console.
hear these, like, really
The
key
record that I had was
platforms,
on
use your
emulator.
invincible
It's
fire
cool.
wheel so that it expires right at the last moment.
So
Both
I had
players
to
can
adjust.
into
In
the
fact, I
very
spent
nicely.
all
There's
day
gonna
in the
be some
practice
water
room
physics
since
coming
I
up
was
here.
there.
Just
I
coming
had
into
like
really difficult
3 or
screens
4
and have to do
days
some tricky
from
damages
getting
and
there
kinda clip through a
to the
wall here. Let's
race.
see if he can pull it off.
And I was just literally in the practice room for like
Burn
almost
that
8 hours a
second
day
platform,
practicing
and he's on
through.
top.
He got it.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy's turn.
Nice. Jimmy has an alternative setup for this. I'm gonna see if he doesn't. go for
So
it.
look
You
at
see the
this.
positioning of the
Look at
vertical-
this
yeah,
up
there we go,
here.
there we go.
Yes, wow,
Very
very
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
So frames are
Okay.
being
Y'all
shared.
ready for this
Yes,
right here?
Jimmy's been
Looking
slowly
like they're
catching up over
slowly
the course of
catching
this
up.
run. Both players have been playing very well.
Uh,
Ooh.
and it's over.
Jimmy with a death.
It's
That's a
over.
killer because he's gonna have to go back. There's only one.
This is a
shot
horrible
that he
place
can
to
get. He has
die.
backtrack for it. He's
Absolutely
going to,
horrible.
He does, and then he's gonna have to
Okay,
use,
good thing I
the
practiced the
fire wheel to get
backups.
boss kill.
I
This is
actually
not
know.
one of the
I
scariest
literally
places in the
practiced
game to
backups
die
for
at.
this.
Just this last room of 4-2 is huge. Luckily, he died on the very first section of it, so it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
And Jimmy, well prepared with the backup strats, he knows exactly what he's doing, so
See?
he's not losing
I know
too
exactly
much
what
time.
I'm doing. Okay,
Gus
but I
moved
died,
into
and that
5-1
loses
here.
a lot
This
of
is really,
time.
really short stage. Ooh, unfortunately,
Almost
he's
is that
missed
there.
out on the invincible fire wheel. That's
Okay,
gonna slow
but
down
look
some
at
of
Gus.
the
Okay,
5-1.
Gus missed
You know,
the
he's
invincible
flipping over
fire
top of the wall
wheel,
there.
which is really,
So top of the
really
screen works
bad.
kinda strange with the walls in this game.
Now Gus
Unfortunately, he's
actually
taking a little bit
had
of
the
a damage.
pacifist
He is taking
record.
extra damage here, which
So
could
he
come back to
knows
bite him because
pacifist
he does have to
strats.
take a lot of damage in the next
And
stage.
he's
He's
trying
got
to
health
do
for a
them.
while. There is one health in the next screen, but it costs a lot of time to get.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
not
losing
going
a
for
lot of
the
time.
clip. Touching those spikes does
He's
3 damage,
hemorrhaging
so,
time here because he lost that
So
fire.
Gus wants to kind of take this as safely as possible and make it all the way to the health.
Okay,
You
so
can
here
see
we go.
5-2.
A 2-11
Look at this.
there. Now watch Jimmy's screen because he can catch up.
Boom.
He got the news
Here he
very
does get
well.
the
Crowd
ball.
around.
He may catch up
A little
10
bit.
seconds here. He gets a 221. That's 10 seconds that he just caught up.
Okay.
This
they're
is
all
George's
about
favorite
10 seconds apart
stage.
right now. So this is it's now kind of become a more close race. We've kind of
Very
switched
even.
switched up a bit, but
Jimmy doing a great job recovering after that death.
okay. Gus now at 2 HP. He's really down to
And there's
1
a
HP.
health
He's really
right
looking for
here.
this health.
Yeah, he needs this health immediately.
All right, Gus gets the
Making
help.
sure he gets it, but losing a little time in the process.
Yeah, so-
Meanwhile, Jimmy is just trucking on through.
I don't even need
Knows
the
that
help.
He doesn't really need it.
So 5-2, I guess the hazard in this is just the slippery ice. Unlike most games, the ice physics in this is actually quite nice when doing a
Ooh,
speed
look
run,
at that.
because
You
When you
can
slash on the ground, you don't slow down.
Now
Now
you can
both
see
players.
Jimmy is actually almost in the lead now. He caught up quite a bit by getting a damage boost there that Gus missed a couple
Power
times. So
drive.
now it's really, really neck and neck right now.
So in the middle of the second game. Here,
Look at that. Look at how close we are. Hashtag quick kill. It doesn't
Right, no.
exist yet.
And anotar quick boss kill there.
Ash
using
cars
the
there.
fire
Both
wheel.
screens.
All right, now these runners have to be careful not to get complacent because Act 6 is actually pretty easy compared to the rest of the game. It's really straightforward. There's not a lot of opportunity for mistakes, but if you take too much damage, it can cause problems.
Look at that
So you
sync.
have to be careful.
These are really short stages. The only thing you have to worry about is collecting the scroll.
Yeah,
in
don't get
6-1. Looks like
complacent.
both players have collected it,
And they
and
both
just
have.
managing your health because there's a lot of damage boosting occurring in 6-2.
And using a little bit of a safe strat there, both of them to manage their health and make sure, because as Duckfist mentioned, they are going to take a lot of damage in the next stage here, and then hopefully set up a quick
Look at
kill on
this
the boss.
sync.
And it's a
I
dead
remember we
right now,
look
so
at each other because we're like, is this real?
Both
Like, are
players
we
with pretty
actually
good health.
just
This,
completely
this is
synced
gonna
up
be
right
a
now?
Pretty safe neck and neck Act 6, I think. So it'll all be determined by what happens in Act 7.
And Act 7 is absolutely brutal. Both very nice. Wow.
Gotta throw away
You
that
can see both
Ninpo.
players
Don't
are
want to
discarding
lose
some of those
lose
fire wheels
timer.
because there is a countdown at the end of the stage. Ninpo countdown.
Both players still have the same amount of info. So
And they
they
have
I
the
actually
same
did
amount, so
a
they are
cancel
still
there,
tied.
so I saved a little
Moving to
time.
7-1. This is where the game really kicks it into high gear. This is a very, very difficult platforming stage. You're made to
Oh,
play
really,
positional
Fluexel? That's
spawns.
funny.
You have to make sure you collect all of the right info. Look, both players getting a really nice wall damage boost to instantly jump off of the inside of the wall there.
So
And
I was
then
definitely in the
through
zone
seven
here, and
one
I
is
was like
dangerous,
just
and if you die,
I
you're in
was-
big trouble.
This third,
I was
this
doing
third
great.
screen of 7-1 is extremely tricky. How you boost up to the top here.
Oh,
See
yes,
both players
Ken.
managed to do
And
it.
both players using
Looks like we're
similar
in there.
strategies.
Okay. Gus slowing down a little
Yeah,
bit.
Jimmy pulling
Extremely
ahead.
tricky screen.
pulling ahead.
Jimmy with just slightly better movement, getting ahead.
However, everyone has the scroll, 100 max Nimpo, good Nimpo count right now, good health.
211.
Moving into 7-2, it's looking pretty good as long as the players can just maintain their cool and execute well. I think this will be a close race.
Yes, it will. A lot of damage boosting. The final boss rush is pretty much free, but you might see some different strategies. Jimmy may go for a quick kill on Jackio. Gus might forego that. Gus having a little bit of trouble.
We
here.
don't wall
This is
slash
gotta be
here
very, very
because
careful.
it's too risky.
Still
You
has
don't
the
want to
ball
lose an
now, so I
info.
think he can recover here.
There are going to be some health drops coming up later in the stage, but Gus
Oh wait,
has to be
Gus is
very
doing
careful
it.
not to
All right,
die.
Gus is like, I gotta
If
save
he
time.
Takes things a little too.
All right, watch my screen here.
Meanwhile, Jimmy.
Uh-oh.
Jimmy trying to set up
going for
some
some
Uh-oh.
bird
boosts.
boosts.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Screws up a bit.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay,
Alright,
we're
he gets
good.
through. He gets through.
Improvising.
And now things are evening up just a little bit
But
again. There's
that gets
one final
Gus
health
back
drop in
ahead.
This, and I think both players are probably going to go for it based on how much health they have. Let's
Definitely,
see.
I would certainly go for
Jimmy goes ahead and gets it. It does cost a few frames.
Gus is like,
probably also going to go for it.
no.
Nope, he's going to have to skip it because he missed throwing his fire wheel.
All right, I got a slightly quicker
So
kill.
fighting the final 3 bosses in this game is all about Nimpo management. They want to have just enough to have at least one article fire wheel shot for the final form of the
Oh, Hun's
boss.
getting
Both
ready
players
for the
taking
controller
it
swap.
very nicely.
Arcades
Great
is
job
probably
by both
there.
players. And the second form is down for Jimmy.
Doing some
Gus handling
moonwalking.
it with no problem. Both players have enough health here. They're just going to have to take out the head and then go straight for the heart.
So Jimmy getting a very quick kill on the head there with his last art of the fire wheel shot. Now it's all about sword slashing this heart, and then we'll finish up Ninja Gaiden 2. Okay.
Alright.
Great run.
Team Breakers
run.
moves on.
And they are going to be switching
And
right
it's
into Ninja
time for
Gaiden 3.
crack.
There's no time to
Team
waste.
Kappa right behind.
And they're both through.
That's true.
Just an absolutely unbelievable race to this time. Now Ninja Gaiden 3
Art
is
of the
a little
fire
different. You're
wheel.
gonna see the jumps are a little bit floatier. There's this sword upgrade that kind of makes the sword's hitbox bigger, makes it easier to kill enemies. And one of the main differences is this game's kind of just less broken. There's no shadow clones and no spin slash.
Yeah, and there's no.
So like I
there's no
said
free
before,
clips. You know, you can't
I-
damage boosts in as many places. Yeah, like you said, there's no shadow.
I felt like
clones,
this could have
no spin
gone
slash, so
either
any
way
damage done to
at
bosses
this
is
point,
pretty much just one damage
because
at a time.
Reach was definitely
Another thing to note is
favored.
that this is the US
Reach
version
had
of
the
Ninja Gaiden
record.
3. This is a very, very
Crack Attack, I felt I didn't know much about Crack Attack's play.
Attack does at least
I
two
had
damage.
never saw him stream
There's
much.
very few health drops. It's very
He was very
unforgiving
good
game.
though, and look
So,
at him do his
even
ninja fap.
mistakes
See, look
cost
at that.
quite a large
His
amount of damage.
patented move.
And both players through the first stage with no problem. Different stage hazards in this game. You can see there's quicksand in this stage, which is going to reoccur a little bit later in the game.
So that's the
Pools
kind of
of
guy
damage,
that
so players kind of just jumping through
Crack
there,
is.
trying to stay out of it as much as they
He's
can.
kind of
Yeah, and unlike the
He's
previous
special.
games, you'll see a lot of like
In a
stopping
very
and
good way.
hesitation in order to make sure
Most
some
of the
these hits
time.
work just right. Just
Like
the
90%
placement
of the
in Ninja
time.
Gaiden 3 is extremely brutal compared to the past games, and just because you take more damage in general, players will want to be very careful.
And we're going to be coming up on the only auto-scroller in a Ninja Gaiden game.
So
which I
Crack
don't even know why,
is.
but they put one in.
I don't
There's
know.
really good music.
I don't remember
So,
much about
we're
this
probably
actual
gonna
race
go ahead
right
and
here.
do some
Here's the auto
donations
scroller.
now. So if Butters
He's
BB
doing his ninja fap
wants to
again.
go ahead and do some donations, please go ahead.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Joyt, for the $380 donation. Thank you for yet again hosting this great event. I was going to go with some friends this year, but money school kept me from it. Instead, I'm putting this towards all child dungeons blindfolded. Keep the good stuff coming. Cheers, and go Team Kappa.
Ooh, Team
Thank you very
Kappa.
much, Shakma,
Heck
for the
no.
$100 donation. A gift from France, the country of Punch-Out's worst fighters. Have mercy on Glass Joe. Have mercy on Glass Joe by knocking him out quickly. I put my donation on Broman's FF7 incentive.
Crack is always drunk, Terex.
Okay, as we're wrapping up the auto scroller here, we're coming up to
I don't
a
think
pretty
Crack
tricky boss in
is
this
ever
game.
sober.
This guy, while he moves consistently, he can. It's kind of random where he decides to stop, and the players will want to take damage in order to squeeze
Yeah.
in some extra hits on the boss, and just due to the amount of damage enemies do in the game, and based on his random positioning, it could be a little scary. Both players have pretty good health. Both players with fire wheel. So I don't think this will be an issue.
And really only separated by a couple seconds at this point. They've kind of maintained the pace to this point. And a little bit of trouble there, but a good fight.
Yep,
by
so
Becker.
Reese is catching up slowly. Giving the fist pump. Yeah, that's a really good comparison there to Wex.
Beginning of 3-1, about halfway through the stage, there's some moving platforms, and as soon as you begin the stage, all the platforms begin moving. So it's important that they don't slow down at all in this first section, so that they can make that early platform cycle. Looks like both players are pretty good. Ooh, Rich taking a hit.
Ooh, Reese takes a hit. He's pulling the Jimmy.
Out of the way
Yeah.
early on in the stage.
I gave a little like fist pump in my head right there,
Kill you at some point or another,
like
so
that,
It might not
yes.
be the last death that we see in this run.
because I felt like we
Lost
needed
some
it.
time. Rish, obviously,
We needed it.
Very experienced in this game, so
Reese was catching up too easily,
keep on moving.
and
And
we needed a
Crackjack moving into
boost.
3-2 here. We see the first appearance of a new
I
weapon.
wanted it to be
Guys,
close,
called
but I
Vacuum
felt
Blade.
like
It's very nice. It can hit enemies.
it
along
wasn't
the
gonna
way
be
and form
close
like
if
sort of
Reese
small
didn't die.
shield. And once again, we see the return of the Invincible Fire Wheel as a usable item, like in Ninja Gaiden 2. I think it costs
Invincible
20
Fire
bucks.
Wheel.
Yeah, a little more expensive, but it's okay because there's so many refills for Ninpo that you can pretty much use it whenever you want. You don't have to worry about trying to conserve it too much. And there are less scrolls that are going to be picked up in Ninja Gaiden 3 than in Ninja Gaiden 2. They're not going to end with as much Ninpo, but again, like I said, because there's so many refills, they really don't want to bother going out of their way.
Okay, Correct Attack having a very solid 3-2. Even using the Invincible Fire Wheel during this boss fight to block some of their shots while dealing continuous damage. Looking very nice.
Boom.
All right.
Yeah, look at Crack popping off there.
Team Franker Z pulling ahead for the moment, but like I said, Ninja Gaiden 3, anything can happen, especially when we get to the later stages. Things get really, really difficult. Alright, meanwhile, Rich getting his boss fight in. As you can see, he can use the Invincible Fire Wheel and still Sword Slash, which makes a lot of the boss fights a little bit easier. You can just kind of avoid taking that damage.
So stage 4-1 here, all just like on 3-1 with the moving platforms, these moving platforms are also on a stage-based timer, so there's a lot of forced wait points as you just wait for the platforms to reappear. Something to note is the hitboxes on some of these enemies are deceptively large. You'll see them taking their time jumping over these large turret enemies.
Now, just a strange note here, but Crack Attack actually picked up a 1-up. Now, normally this wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary, but in this game, it's possible to come across situations where you want to force game over in order to get the Invincible Fire Wheel back, particularly in Act 7. Hopefully that doesn't happen to either player, but if it did, Crack Attack would have one more life he would have to waste in that situation.
So moving into 4-2, this is a very scary stage here. These spikes deal 6 damage to the player if they touch them. So 3 hits on the spikes and you're out. Fortunately, the Invincible Fire Wheel does let you pass through it quite safely, so that's why it's such a critical item both in this stage and in the final stage of the game.
It's a pretty nice item, I
Yes.
think.
But you'll see Crack Attack doing this nice little trick here where he boosts off of the enemy instead of the spikes itself to deal less damage to him, but still give him some invulnerability frames to make it to the boss with the Vacuum Blade.
And let's see if he can get the 1 cycle here. Vacuum Blade, he's mashing it out. Got to get this guy before he goes back underground.
Okay,
He does.
looking good, looking good. Infested Rich right behind. Also having a pretty solid Act 4.
Rish really keeping pace well after he kind of had that death. He's really hasn't let it affect him too much.
Okay, still gets the boss before he buries. Very nice. Moving into 5-1. I keep saying this for every stage, but it just gets more and more insane with enemy placement. There are enemies everywhere in this game now. There's almost nothing you can do in some situations except for stop or just take large amounts of damage to get through. See the Vacuum Blade and the Fireball did a lot of good use here.
And you can hear Crack Attack with his patented yells that he does during the game. If
I'm
anybody that's on the
being
practice runs
quiet
very
because I'm
familiar
trying
with
to
this.
find
Pretty low HP at this point in 5-2, taking a death.
something,
unfortunately. At least it was at the
about
beginning
something
of the
that's
stage. Any
coming
death
up
in this game
that
seems
once
at
this
the
is
beginning
done
of
that I
the
want to
stage. This
cover.
is kind of a long stage. Might as well get it over with on the first screen.
But just enjoy this
Sword
race.
upgrade there, Fireball,
I'll
he's back in business.
join in chatting in a
Meanwhile,
second.
Team Kappa catching up a little bit.
Okay, so that first screen is pretty scary. All the significantly difficult parts are pretty much over with in stage 5, or in 5-2. Jumping over some of these turrets can be a little bit tricky, but with that extended sword power-up, hitting the enemies it makes it hitting the enemies much more easy. And crossing this disappearing platform section, both players will want to pick up an invincible fire wheel. Once again, just to make some of the traversal of these later screens a little bit easier.
And yeah, that's not much of a stage hazard there, as those guys are just going to be holding left the whole time, but it is there. And both players just moving really well. I mean, this has been just solid runs from everybody all around so far, and it's amazing the race is this close. All the Ninja Gaiden games are very, very punishing. So.
Oh, and you'll see both players going out of their way a little bit, losing a couple of seconds just to pick up Art of the Fire Wheel, just because of how much time it saves against this boss here.
And let's see, they want to kill him before he gets to the other side of the screen. Crack attack, not able to do it. Let's see if Rich can get it. Rich, a little bit of a better.
Oh! Wow! Both players second at both.
And once again, we're dead even, going into the next act, which of course is the return of ice physics.
Oh! Crack attack having a little blunder there, but he's still okay. He's still
Managed to recover both players through to the next screen.
So Act 6 is where the game gets pretty scary for health management. The next level, you want to go to the next level
Find
with as
what I'm
much
looking
health as possible. There are no health drops in this act, and of course 6-1 with the patented ice physics. A little bit more difficult in this game than in Ninja Gaiden 2, just with a lot of platforming and a lot of just really strange, awkward enemy placement for speedrunning. See them both stopping to take out both of these turrets. Almost necessary at this point, especially on Crack Attack's side with a little bit lower health than he wants.
And you can see the return of the quicksand over there for both players. They're going to have to do a lot of jumping and just kind of stay out of the quicksand. If you get dragged down too far in certain places, you just die also. So they're going to be just jumping around a lot.
Taking another hit here. This is very scary. He has 3 HP.
And the boss of the stage is...
Oh yeah, so this is where... Alright, I'm gonna come back and do commentating here.
It's impossible to avoid taking damage sometimes. Luckily, I think even with bad luck and good execution,
I was
health is still gonna be good.
so frightened because I think Crack had died in the practice here also.
So he does make it through.
And I kind of like when Rish survived this,
no problem killing the boss. And let's see,
I kind of told myself it's over. Like, I don't think Crack can come back.
And he gets
also doesn't take damage again.
He barely,
He's through.
barely survives. We're far behind. It was a good race.
Completely brutal.
It was a good race. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Right there.
He dies.
But if you're gonna die in Act 7, that's pretty much the best place.
And we're back in it.
It has to be because
Franker Z is back in it.
Invincible fire wheels in this screen, and you need it for the duration of Act 7.
I was
So
like,
both players gonna get that invincible fire wheel. Hopefully,
We're
maintain
back.
it for the rest of the run.
Yeah, Act 7 is just...
we're back, but
it's all
we're
about
not
collecting fire
ahead
wheels
by
at
much.
once and keeping it for as long
He's
as
just
possible.
playing
Also, health management.
way
There are
too
very few
good.
opportunities for health, and there's a lot of...
He's just,
a huge amount
he's
of
saving
enemies,
time, like,
later
all
stages of
over the
game.
place.
Here in 7-2, we'll see the players enter a particularly
Right.
room with some more moving
Never
platforms
stop
around the world.
believing.
They'll wanna
This
very
is,
precise
by the
with
way,
fire
a
usage, so they
very
won't accidentally replace it with another
frightening
weapon. They
section,
also want to make this platform cycle.
because if you lose
right
the
as it
fire
goes.
wheel,
Okay, Crack Attack in pretty good shape. And he's on
at
the
least
platform.
at this point, I don't know if it's changed. There's no,
He's
like,
pretty happy
backup.
about
And Rich is on the platform as well.
Very
Your
nice.
best bet is to actually force a
Alright,
game
both
over
players
and go
through.
back to 7-1
He's
and
gonna
get the
it
invincible
easier, though.
fire
It's
wheel.
just gonna get more
That was the
difficult.
backup
Act 7.
strat at this point.
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Still looking pretty good. Now there's a backup health here in 7-2,
And Crack is gonna have
Okay,
to
I didn't think so. I mean, maybe there's something you can do on the Japanese version, but the US version, there's just too much crap.
And once again, we have the spike walls. This is why you need the invincible fire wheel in Act 7.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of these spike
makes
rooms, and
sense.
you'd have to wait for cycles of these spikes. But with the invincible fire wheel, you can just run right through, and you can see both players have it, and both players are cruising.
Right. I can't emphasize how brutal this stage is. It's extremely
Hola,
difficult,
Kelmes.
especially if you don't have invincible
We're finishing
fire
up the
wheel, just
relay
like
here.
in stage 4-2, the spikes
Team
is
Franker Z
6
is in the
damage per
lead,
place
but
when
just
touch them,
barely.
invulnerable. This platforming screen with all of the disappearing blocks is particularly nasty.
See,
if you
sit,
don't have
okay,
invincible
just
fire
hit
wheel.
36.
And
Yeah,
not to
we're
mention
ahead
final
by
boss
2
rush, it's
seconds.
certainly helpful to have invincible fire wheel. Not completely
After
necessary,
a
but,
relay
it
containing
certainly
3
doesn't hurt.
Okay,
people,
here we we are moving into the final
36
screen of the
minutes
game at about
in.
like a 2-second difference between the two teams. It's still anybody's race.
Yes, this
even
is really close.
Even not down to major mistakes, even just slight improvements, slight just cutting corners and optimization of their sword slashes could make.
Yeah,
it
and Reish is just like
boss
getting
fights.
these tiny little saves here and
The
there.
final boss.
See,
1
he
second
saved like
apart.
half a second. The great thing about this too is that none of the deaths were like devastating.
This is incredible.
They were obviously cost a lot of
Which with
time, but
slightly
it
lower
was
hero,
like
he's gonna only want to use exactly
they
one
were
defensive
almost
fire wheel to
like
use
very
his
well
I
placed.
don't think it'll be a problem for him.
All right,
Crack's
so
out, taking the kill.
Crack
A little
somehow
bit
saved it a little bit
the
of time.
final form of the final boss. Now they want to use Invisible Fire Wheel right away to destroy this the head section of the
Let's
final boss.
go.
It takes quick work of them. Both players having at least
There
one
we
shot.
go.
So we'll
Who's
see
gonna
this come
take-
down
who's
to the
gonna
wire
take it?
fast.
16 hits away. Who's going to get there first?
And Rich with the kill first. He takes it by 1 second, less than a second. This is an incredible race here at AGDQ 2015. Round of applause for all the amazing Ninja Gaiden runners today.
What a relay. Being a part of that for my first
Dare I say
event
that was the best
ever
race
is
I've ever
just
seen in my
like
life.
I think that would qualify.
that was something else. Look
Unbelievable,
at that crowd.
skillful
Look
play
at
by
Blackie over
all the
there.
runners. They're getting a standing ovation right
Good
now.
cipher.
Final times for each run. We had on Team Kappa, we had Ohone with 12:09. Gus Mancini at 23:31 was done. Reish at 37:23 finishing. And Dexter had a 12:22. Jimmy was at 23:24, and then Crack Attack 37:21.
So those are
just
the
a couple
split
of
times.
seconds.
Those are the split times for each of the.
Oh, I didn't see
games and
Rudy.
series. So this is.
Oh,
this is an
there's
incredible
is that
matchup.
just-
I mean, it was back and forth the whole time, and here we are.
Is that Cool Kid?
Finishing the game out within 1 second.
that
of each
used
other, or within
pizza?
2 seconds of each other at the final stage.
Oh, there's Krauser.
That was just an absolutely
Reflected.
incredible race. I have
And
never
Gary.
seen anything like that. Well, I mean, Super Metroid last year was pretty darn
Man,
close
I
as
know-
well, but this is
all
amazing.
these people.
And we are actually going to have some runner interviews now.
All right. This is the first interview that they ever did. If you want to watch the interview, go ahead. I'm a little bit, I don't know. I don't really want to watch the interview personally. So yeah, that was great. Now, kind of moving ahead here. Oh, Pi did 8F? Okay. All right. Pi did 8F. So the next thing that I have in my list is actually kind of a lull in progress. Well, actually, progress is a bad word there. A lull in people being involved in the game. So I think I took like a really tiny break. Keep in mind I had just gotten the record. But then I popped right back in it. So if we go to, actually I made this little timeline. So here you can see, I don't want to show the whole thing, but here is the timeline of my PBs. So this was right around here, right? The relay was January 2015. So I did take a little bit of a break, but then I started coming back and I started trying to do some innovations. So like I got these times like 10:19. I remember I was really happy with that. And then there was a point where I was like, you know what? I want to make the Ashtar quick kill a real thing. We used to joke about it, and like I couldn't even get it on 25% speed. So I would slow it down on emulator to 25% speed. And I think I got it like twice in the span of, I don't know, a couple of hours of going for it. I was like, it's doable. We can do it, right? Now, this was, yeah, Ashtar, everyone thought it was impossible, thought it was task only. I didn't know why. I knew that it was really hard, but mathematically in my head, I was like, I'm pretty sure we can do these cancels and fit it in. I think it's RTA viable. I think it's just like insanely hard. RTA, by the way, means real time attack, so that's something that like can be done in real time, like with human controller. So there was one day where I sat down, I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. And I think I streamed for I don't remember how long. It changes in my head every time I try to remember it. I want to say like 3 or 4 hours straight. And all I did was tried to get Ashtar. I had my TV, my game, just like this. And I was like, I'm going to get the Ashtar quick kill. Like 4 hours, no progress. I mean, okay, progress technically, but nothing. Yeah, I got Ashtar dumpstered. Okay, he made me feel pretty bad about myself. 4 hours. I got him down to 1 health a few times, but if you know Ashtar, 1 health doesn't actually mean anything because that just means you hit him 5 times. You have to hit him a 6th time. It's actually really easy to get him down to 1 health. Hitting him for that extra health is the actually really hard part. So the next day, I started it up again. I was like, I'm doing this, okay? I'm gonna do it. And it was maybe like 2 hours into the stream where it happened. Okay, so I have the recording. You can see how oh, I forgot. There's one other thing that I should mention here. I love helping people with this game and kind of like teaching it and stuff. So I remember now. It was around this time. This was after the AGDQ, where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make some comprehensive tutorials. And these tutorials are actually some of the best tutorials that I've seen for like anything, actually. I looking back at these, I'm so impressed with the amount of effort that I put into them. They're on YouTube, and what I did is I did it all in emulator, and I actually came up with the recording in emulator, like as a video. So I could like pause it in the middle of it. I could like do stuff in the middle of it. It actually worked out like so incredibly well. These tutorials, I think, were very ahead of their time. I don't think I could make something better now. I don't think I would even want to try. So they're still good to this day if you want to learn this theme. Obviously, a lot of stuff is outdated, but a lot of it is still relevant. 3-2 of the Gods. Should we watch this? Let's watch this real quick. 3-2 of the Gods. Ready for this hopefulness? Oh man, that is hard to watch. How did people watch me back in the day? Is that because of scan lines that I never had going? De-interlacing thing? I don't know. Hurts my eyes though. Yeah. Boom. First appearance of Crescent Boost. Alright, how fast is 3-2 of the Gods? It's almost a 209. Alright. Yeah, that was Dwarf Strat. Pressing guy. Okay. Now that 3-2 of the Gods is over with. This happened. What's the date? Let's look at the date here. October 22nd, 2015. The history of this game changed. Oh, I did it. I did it. See ya, Ashtar. More like Ashtar. Excuse my, okay. Now, the thing is, now that I got that, I said, I'm gonna try doing this more. And what happened is the next day, I intentionally set my alarm 30 minutes earlier than I usually do. And I was like, I'm gonna see if I can get the Ashtar quick kill in 30 minutes before I have to go to class, because I was still doing my PhD back then. So I woke up, I did it, or I started doing attempts, and I got it. It took me like 15 minutes. I was like, wow, I'm actually somehow gaining consistency on this. And I kept doing that. So I would wake up and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna do the quick kill until I get it. And then I'm gonna like go to class. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this until I get it like 3 times. And it would take me like 15, 20 minutes, but I would get it. And I was like, this is somehow becoming consistent. I don't really understand how. This quick kill doesn't really make sense. My hands are doing things, and it happens sometimes. But yeah, it ended up being a thing. And this is what made Jorf stop playing the game, and what made a lot of other runners not really want to play the game that much. It took a very long time until anyone else actually got it, and no one could get it with any degree of consistency. The best person that did it or had some amount of consistency with it was Gyarados. And even Gyarados at that time had very little consistency with it, but he could actually get it. Now, what ended up happening, let me go back to my timeline and notes here. So I don't actually know the order of when all of this happened. There were like 3 things that kind of happened all at once. There was my 1007. I guess I can go over this grind real quick. This is me trying to get sub 1010. I was like, sub 1010 is like the ultimate goal in this game. So I got this quick kill. I got this PB with Ashtar, and I was like, it's real. Right? It happened. Okay. And then I started playing Lawnmower, and that was also great. And then, yeah, we got here. I got the 1011, and I was like, okay, I'm almost there. I didn't even realize I got this. This was what would have been my, like, done with the game time if I had gotten Ashtar. But I didn't, because Ashtar is so hard. Now, finally, on February 9th, I got the time. Right, and the game was dead. I killed Ninja Gaiden 2. 1007 was it, right? The game was over with. Okay? No one had to play it anymore. Until Becco decided he wanted to play it. So we'll get to that in a second. Like I said, I don't really remember the order of operations here, and I could probably look at the dates and just kind of figure it out. But it was around this time when we also held the Ninja Gaiden 2 tournament. And the Ninja Gaiden 2 tournament was amazing. It was the first tournament of this kind. Oh yeah, Baron? I vaguely remember that. We'll get to the Becco era in a little bit. It was the first tournament we did of this kind. Most of the tournaments, by the way, this was back in 2016. Okay. So this is the Swiss bracket. This was not the final results. This is what took us to the top 8. I forget exactly how long we had this to be announced for and like how the preparations were going on. But this is when there was like kind of a new set of like really good runners that were kind of getting into speed running. Fast at CC, he joined this tournament, had never played Ninja Gaiden 2 before. He had the Mega Man 3 record at the time. Endy was Endy joined. Gyarados, who I don't think is really around too much anymore. White Hat joined. Just all sorts of people. Prissy, Zallard was even in this. Jorf came back for the tournament. Backslash, who I haven't even mentioned. I should have mentioned Backslash before. Backslash is actually... I love Backslash. I don't really talk to him that much, but when I first started running this game, he was one of the first people when I was trying to like be someone in the relay. Backslash was kind of a frequent viewer, and he didn't really talk a lot, but if I ever had questions, he would pipe up. And he was so helpful, and he was a really good runner at the game. If you look at the leaderboards, he has a pretty good time. He was definitely ahead of his time. And yeah, he started playing in that era where like I had got my like 11-minute time and then I stopped playing. He was playing like kind of in that in-between moment. Aquas was in this as well. Arcus. So I actually this is where I was trying to go back to find some VODs. I couldn't find any VODs. Myth, I don't know if you know if there are any VODs. I think they might just be gone, unfortunately. But Myth, this is my first interaction with Myth. And Myth was like God tier, being a helpful person like Myth always is. And let me show you this. You can see this now, right? So what ended up happening is I held this on challenge. You can actually look at this right here if you want to look at it. And what happened is I made this spreadsheet, which was all automated. And what it would do is it would rank all of us and do tiebreakers. But what we had to do is we had to go in here and fill in the times for everyone. It was the only way that I knew how to do it. So we would go in and fill in these times, and then it would kind of like come up with standings. And then because of how challenge worked with its point system, we actually had to like put in like these negative numbers. See the points? They're all negative because the time, like it scored the points as like the person with the higher points was better, but the times, like you want a lower time, right? So that was all reversed. I don't know, it was a little screwy, but long story short, we ended up finishing this Swiss format, which it actually worked really well. The only downside is that like it was pretty long for a lot of the players, especially with time zones, and the downtime was a little bit annoying. But like who was like the top seed, I would finish. Actually, I actually thought Arcus was the top seed, by the way. People said that I was the top seed, but I was swearing that Arcus was going to do better. He was just so much more consistent than I was. So I would finish my round, and then I would look at the IRC chat and I would be like trying to fill in these times so that we could get it going. And then like Myth would like also be filling them in. And then Myth would like, update the challenge, and like it was this really, really hectic. I don't know. It ended up being a lot of fun and we ended up getting it to work. So after the tiebreakers and everything, these were the final standings. Endy was completely undefeated. Gyarados got second, and then Jorf, then backslash me, White Hat, Arcus, Infested Reach. So it was like, fourth seed plays fifth seed in the top 8, third plays sixth, and so forth. So I don't see the bracket for that. But yeah, I wish I could find the VODs. I couldn't find them. When top 8 rolled around, I don't know what happened, but I was just playing out of my mind that day. Like absolutely out of my mind. It was so insane. I think on top 8 day, I think on top 8 day, just so that you all have something to look at here. Oh, network here. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything to show. Unfortunately, no tournament footage. But I ended up getting. First off, I'm just gonna give spoilers because I don't think there's any footage. There's nothing to watch. I went undefeated all the way through. So top 8 was 2 out of 3 up until I think the finals was 3 out of 5. So it was 2-0, 2-0, 3-0 for me. That was me and Gyarados Stallard. Which meant that I participated in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races in that day. I got 6 out of 7 Ashtar quick kills in the races, which was like just absurd. And hold on, do I have? I think they're in here. They're in here, right? I think we did these on SRL. We found the VODs. Yes, here are the races. Oh my gosh, you found the VODs. All right, which one should we? We should watch the Gyarados, me versus Gyarados. This is qualification round. Do we have the There we go. There's the top 8. Oh my gosh. All right, summoning salt. Pay attention here, summoning salt. Yeah, I gotta put these links. My All right, they're not loading. Maybe they'll load eventually. What was I talking about? It loaded for you, but why not for me? Maybe because like everyone's trying to load it at the same time. It's like, this was 6 years ago. What are you all doing? We suddenly like double the view count on this VOD from 6 years ago. What? What? Now, what am I doing wrong here? Gotta let it thaw. It might be my ad block stuff. I have a pretty hefty ad block. Oh, you're spoiling it, Myth. That's okay. That was by far the hypest moment. That was the one I wanted to show. That's okay. Does this load for me? Because this is all I wanted to show anyways. I don't know. I'll let you all watch it. I think it's probably like some sort of ad block thing kicking in. You know what I might be able to do? What if I try it in incognito? That might work.
Give me a 219.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right, so let me show this.
On the game timer. So into the ice stage.
George's favorite
This
stage.
is Gardas' favorite stage. And if he wins this tournament, you know, people might start calling it Gardas' favorite stage instead of George's favorite stage. I don't know.
We had Dark Man on the.
I mean, he's definitely shown in like 5-2. We've seen some sick ladder grabs by him. So
Yes. Yeah,
he
we
deserves the title if he gets it.
I think so. Especially if he nails at least one Ashtar.
Look at
quick
this.
kill.
So Gyarados is
I
ahead.
think that maybe could turn the tide.
And
but
I'm
we'll
like,
see. He's
okay.
coming up to Ashtar right now.
This is
And,
semifinals.
Jimmy, he's already hit the Ashtar quick kill twice
Here we go.
today. Can he make it 3 times? Gardas gets it.
Wow! And
And
Jimmy
so
gets
does
it.
Jimmy. Oh my god,
goodness.
the impossible dream. 2 quick kills in the same
So
race.
I had Gyarados'
You
stream
think these
up
guys deserve to be in
to
the
kind of see
finals?
where I was,
Wow.
Wow!
and I saw
That's
him.
insane.
Yeah, look at this. Look at Jorf. Unreal, 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 unreal. This isn't happening. I had his stream up, and I was like, holy crap, he's actually like really close with me. This is before I saw Ashtar. And I was like, oh, I got the Ashtar quick kill. Okay, I'm definitely ahead now by 4 seconds. Okay. And then I get a perfect X6, which like is super typical. And I look over at Gyarados' stream now, and he's still ahead of me, like very slightly. And I'm like, you can't save time in Act 6. So I guess he had to have gotten the Ashtar quick kill. It didn't click with me at first, but I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So there were a lot of people who played really well in that tournament. In fact, once this ad finishes here, look, it's Thor. Hi, Thor. What kind of thing is Thor use that we should buy? Oh. Alright. He uses that and he can't even grab his hammer. Don't buy this stuff. Crap. Oops, I accidentally clicked on it. Alright.
Hello and welcome to the top.
So I just
8.
want to showcase,
So,
like,
He
oh,
understands
Here we
the
go.
mentality to win, so he knows what he needs to do. Maybe he needs to adjust his strategy. He's been.
Alright.
That's.
Oh yeah, we did.
That's-
Okay, these were great. We did
This
these
close
cards.
in,
Look at this.
competition. As you can see, we actually now have up on screen the first matchup that we're going to be showing you. As we mentioned.
Wait, that's not
Gardas 21.
Arcus. Who's that?
Arcus 87.
Oh, that's Arcus
You can see
87.
the personal bests there for both of them.
Okay, this is
10-21,
different
as we
from
mentioned, and
the
average
Arcus
time
that
through
we
the
know.
Swiss. So Gardas having a slightly better average time during the Swiss rounds with his 10:45 overall. Arcus with
Why-
10:36. However, Arcus has been doing no reset.
Yeah,
runs
no one
recently,
does
and I
this,
can
right?
swear that
This
he
tournament
averages
was
10
so
minutes
far
per
ahead of
Swiss.
its time.
So, what do you make
It
of
was
that?
so far ahead of its time.
I mean, if somebody has an average of 1030, that's pretty insane. That's going to be pretty hard to beat for most competitors, you know, regardless of whether you're Jimmy or Rich or whoever, or Gyarados, whoever you're going up against. That's a pretty tall
Gyarados was
order, so.
playing in
Yeah,
Prez.
that's impressive.
Yes,
this
it definitely
tournament.
is. You can see kind of some of the other games that. that they
And
both
you can
play there,
see,
as we
like,
mentioned
since
earlier.
I faced him in
Arcus
top
plays
4,
all
he had
three
to have
games in
beat
trilogy.
Arcus
fact,
in
he
the
likes to play all
quarterfinals,
three back-to-back,
which
is called
completely
trilogy,
blew my
uh,
mind because
contested, which is
Arcus
also
was
known to do.
number
They've
1
competed
seed in
that,
my head, like,
speed
by
running all three
far.
in a row.
I think we ended up
He's got a very
seeding it by
solid Batman time
PB
and runs a little combo as
because
well.
we didn't want to have
He's
any
been
sort
playing
of
this game since
subjective
2012,
seeding.
and Gardas since
But
2016.
Arcus was by
So,
far and away
again,
like
that kind of can,
Mr.
that can make
Consistency,
some
like
some
he's
difference,
always
you know?
been.
Do you think that experience
Right,
is, a
so,
big edge? Is it a small edge? What's your take on that?
Let's look at these
Could
other
definitely
cards
be an
though.
advantage.
When he's doing.
It's just one of those people that has. I mean, it's
Oh,
insane.
it's
to
Sweden
think that
versus
this guy started
Sweden.
speedrunning Ninja Gaiden 2 in 2016, and he already has a
Andy's
1019.
favorite
And
stage is
not only does he have a
2-1.
1019, he has an impressive average. And
That's awesome.
So those are impressive numbers from somebody who just started speedrunning the game.
All right.
And I think that average has gone down as well because
I hope
like
Jorf's.
Artis,
I don't
really
know
put a lot
this,
of
but
time
I
in the
hope
past
Jorf's
2 weeks,
picture
and of course it shows
is
in his personal best, which
is Fred.
this is I believe the largest separation in personal best that we have. So he's got almost 20 seconds.
He
on
might like
Festive
real
Rich,
trains, yeah.
but so it's very appropriate. The intro cutscene to this game. There's
Oh,
kind of
do we not show
lightning.
the other cards until
You do
later?
lose most of your ninpo. You start each stage with 10, and you lose your sub weapon. So they do have to again one hit on the
Show
final
me the other cards.
frame. So
Where are the
you
cards?
can
If you get it,
very very.
There we
stage name,
go.
everybody.
All right. Hold
Like I
on.
say, we look forward to seeing. But I don't think backslash is going to.
All right. There's backslash.
Backslash and Jimmy coming up here. So if things couldn't get any crazier than they just did from this first quarterfinal matches, what are we going to see, Darkman? What
Stuff has
do you
not
expect
changed.
for this marquee matchup?
Stuff has not changed.
everything.
Well,
I
okay.
mean, this is
Cut Ninja Gaiden off the list.
I feel like
I also
gonna see
haven't
it
done
all.
a
I
Rocky
mean,
Mulligan
this
in a
is-
real long time.
Like I said, the one time they
The
played
lawn
in
mowing.
Swiss, it was insane. It was the best. I felt like it was the best match of Swiss easily. It was intense. Like those two showed why they're some of the best in the game. So it's gonna be something. I mean, I if you asked me to pick one right now, I could not tell you who. I don't know who's gonna win. It's gonna be crazy.
Well, Jimmy is hoping that they can somehow do a Rocky and Bullwinkle race instead, but I don't think Backslash is going to agree to that, unfortunately. So both of these guys, as you can see, they had killer average times in the Swiss rounds. They both took 2 losses, interestingly enough, which is not something that anybody would have predicted. But they made it to top 8 nonetheless because they had such excellent tiebreakers. Backslash with the best overall average time with 10:37, and Jimmy right behind him
Backslash,
with
yeah,
10:40.
Backslash was
So
just
these guys are
also
ultra consistent.
playing
Jimmy, of course, having the world record.
insanely well.
And he did take the
Insanely
one
well.
match
I
that he
was
did
not
play, so you
feeling
gotta
very
expect that Backslash
confident going
hoping
into
for some
this.
revenge, like a true ninja.
I was
should.
actually pretty sure that
They
Backslash.
both love stage 7-1.
I wouldn't
and
say that
it
like
seems
I
we're
was
ready. We're
thinking he
get
was
it
gonna
on
beat me, but like
these 2 top
it
flight
felt kind
players,
of like a
so
coin flip, honestly.
here we go. And then I guess we're gonna have our other quarterfinal match too. Can't forget about that.
Oh yeah, there's Jorf.
We're gonna have Jor from White Hat, so we'll see
Jorfuggery.
about that as well.
AKA
so
Jorf.
Jorfuggery is actually his Twitch name.
I mean,
Everybody can
Jorf,
follow these
AKA
guys.
Jorf.
Again, we're showing their Twitch names here on the stream, so you guys can follow.
Also
But he does
speedruns
prefer to go by
Octodad,
Jorf.
A Boy and His
He
Blob,
is
and
our
Kid
lone
Icarus.
Canadian entrant into
His
the
favorite
tournament.
stage is 5-2.
And also very consistent. He had 10:46 was his average throughout, and he's got good experience. Been playing since 2014.
Okay, so the thing that I wanted to
Record
show
record.
off,
So if you
because we
kinda
already
get
looked at that
for his
Gyarados
standards
clip,
at least, getting hit
was
twice,
my
I believe.
runs against
Messing things
Backslash.
up.
Because
Invincible Fire release is 15.
Yes.
No,
the
George
Invincible Fire
Saber's
Wheel
stage
is
was a
the
long
most
time
costly
ago.
sub-weapon to use, but
I didn't go
generally
over the
in this game,
history
there's
of
plenty
that,
info to be had, and
but
as long as you don't use
I
too
guess I'll
many
go over the
extras, you're
history of
okay,
that
you
real
can kinda
quick.
recover.
This
So,
happened
I'm
around
thinking that
after
maybe
the
Jimmy hasn't been
GQ, I
practicing
think.
as much as normal because his
where
movement just isn't quite as crisp
it came
in
up.
certain areas.
I forget
as it
why.
normally would be. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes the screen.
Yeah, it definitely.
I forget
agree
why,
with you. It
but
definitely
it
kinda
came up
seems to be just a
during one of
tad
my
bit off,
streams
and
where I was like, "This is
in
George's
this game,
favorite
being a
stage,"
tad bit off can definitely make a huge difference.
and
It can, and
it
backslash
wasn't a
maneuver
thing
using
then.
Invincible
Okay,
Fire was
but
actually
later
a
in
lot
that
so Jimmy
stream,
gets the up
Duckfist
fire. This is where
rated
he
me.
died
and I was
in the
like
tournament last time. He doesn't take
trying to
it here, so he's
scramble
actually
for
gonna
things
face
to
some time.
say.
He's pretty consistent with that.
And we
strategy.
came to
This is
5-2, and I was like,
certainly
"Oh,
dangerous.
I can tell everyone that it's
So you'll
George's
see how
favorite
he takes
stage
the
again,
boss out
right?"
now very, very
So I said,
quickly
"Yeah," and
with
this
that
is
up
George's
fire.
favorite stage.
Yeah,
And
I
then
feel it
the
maybe-
next run, I
maybe
get
he
to
didn't feel like he was on his
5-2.
A
I'm
game
still
coming into
scrambling for
this,
things to
but,
say,
I'm sure getting the
and
up
I
fire
forgot
there
that I
and
had
kind of
already
executing
said
perfectly,
it,
I'm sure that's
so
gonna
I
give him a
was
little bit of
like,
confidence.
"Oh yeah, and this is
Yeah,
George's
I think
favorite
he's
stage."
building his confidence
Wait,
at
I already
this
said
point,
that,
and,
didn't I?
you know,
Whatever.
Backslash
I'll just say
taking
it all the
Backslash
time
has
now.
had some uncharacteristic
And
mistakes.
that's
very
that's
rarely
basically
seen
how
him,
it happened.
accidentally use an info, and especially that one that
Yeah.
you used. That's one of the more costly incidents.
From then on
accidentally
out, it
activating
always
the
got
Invincible
said.
Fire Wheel because you need to take a damage boost, and if you're invincible, you can't take the damage boost.
Okay, so the thing I wanted to
2
show
seconds
here,
later,
though,
he grabs
much
um,
time to this game.
is
Not an issue for Jimmy at
Backslash
the
was
moment.
playing
Jimmy is looking good. He has not made
incredibly
many mistakes
well,
since some of those early
and
errors.
I was just playing
Really
a
put the game together
slight bit
nicely,
better.
So
So I think Backslash's PB
he may be
was
on pace to
like
get around
a
10:30, I think.
1027 or something, which is really, really
Seems like a
good.
reasonable time.
Really good, especially
yeah.
for this era. Like a 1027 is really good
But he
nowadays.
is taking a little bit of some hits there from birds, and he's got to be careful. He goes for a dangerous strat there, which is the double bird boost, and he lost a bunch of time, but not enough. That Ashtar quick kill buffered him. I think if he hadn't
Oh
gotten
yeah,
the
Ashtar quick
they
kill,
might
of
have been
course.
even now.
I got that every single time here.
So Jimmy
I get
had
the
to
health
get backup
anyways.
He doesn't even have a choice at this point, but he's in good shape here. He's really good at handling the boss rush. He knows exactly how to do these fights. He's done them a million times.
There was no hard.
You gotta imagine that he's gonna take this thing down. Backslash, not even getting the backup health. He knows he's behind. I think.
There was no hard Jackie 01 strat at this
Jimmy
point.
just putting on a clinic at this point. He's got plenty of ninpo going into the final.
Yeah, so Backslash's PB was a 1027.
And it looks like Jimmy is gonna take it. He's gonna take it with a sub 10.
So the time that I get here
Backslash right
was
behind
like
him,
better
just
than most
like
people's
good
PB
enough.
in this
10:24 for Jimmy.
tournament. And Backslash
that's
almost
impressive.
PB'd.
Yeah. You can
I
say
think
that,
I
yeah.
beat Backslash's
And
sum of
Backslash,
best.
so it looks like even without the Ashtar quick kill, Jimmy still would have taken it down. But gosh, it's just so. I mean, 10. But White Hat having a slight lead at this point.
And I
Looks
think they
like
did them simultaneously. Should I
second
show
lead
the
there.
Jorf moment
It's up to
that
Jorf
like just crushed
to, he would've
everyone's
just jumped off the
soul?
ladder and fell. So looking at that
I guess I
Kizzy
gotta show
and
it
his
now
chip
because I mentioned
falling
it.
off. I see him just getting better.
Wait, is there more?
And he
Where's
knows a little
my?
bit more. Light lead again. So
Okay,
Jimmy
here we
looking
go.
for the clean sweep here. He wants to take Backslash out and just
Been having strong kills in stage 6, so here it is, stage 7.
strong. But I mean,
Like
yeah, hammer lock on this.
I just want to show the final times again because this was another
And there it is,
situation
Jimmy Risk finishing off the
where
hard. He's
I
gonna
just
take
got
it
the god time
2-0
again.
over Backslash, who was just behind him, and you gotta feel so bad for Backslash. I mean, look at that. Backslash getting a 224 or 25, it looked like.
Like
And it's
Backslash,
not good enough
I
to
think he
win. I mean, what
PB'd
more can
here.
you ask from the guy? It's
and
just- it was an
Backslash
unfortunate
just played
pairing, and
amazing,
neither of
and
these
I
guys
just
had
did
had
a
different
little bit
outcome in
better.
one game in the Swiss.
I
They would not
felt
have faced off until the
it was
finals,
so
and they would've been
bittersweet
separated in the bracket,
because
so great job by Jimmy, though.
Backslash
that
like
was
just
Backslash was
deserved
2 seconds
you know,
off
so
his
much
PB,
better.
and he still lost.
Yeah,
That's insane.
It was all right.
between matches, so
Are y'all ready for a soul-crushing moment?
I don't know that it would have been enough.
Here's
for White
Jorf's
Hat to
favorite
catch up.
stage. Jorf is
Got
playing
himself
Jorf's
the-
favorite stage.
Had a lot of
All right, look
mistakes
at how
that
far
I
ahead
think
Jorf
cost
is,
the
right?
lesser
There's
runners,
no
but
way
he
that
has
Jorf could
recovered
lose.
brilliantly from every single one.
Like something happened where White Hat
Yeah, it's when
Just
you speed
had a
run
big
game
mistake,
for as long
right,
as
and
Jorf
Jorf
did
is
in
so
Ninja
far
Gaiden 2,
ahead
you don't lose those
that
memories.
there's
you know,
no
those
way,
memories kind of
right?
stay with you. It stays
Top
embedded
four
in
is
your muscle
settled.
memory. So Jorf's
I'm
just
gonna
kind of showing that,
be,
you know,
or
maybe
no,
he's
no,
not
no.
the guy that really needs
Gyarados
to
is gonna
practice as
play
much, 'cause
Jorf.
he remembers
Okay.
all this stuff. His muscles like automatically remember, and he can execute.
I'm gonna
Yeah, I think he
play
figured that he would like just use game 1 as kind of a de-rust, and then,
Reesh,
by game 2 he'd be
and
playing his A
Jorf's
game.
gonna
So
play.
that's kind of where we're at as he's headed into the boss
Wait.
rush. Opts not to take the health.
Hold on
but
a
he looks
minute.
to be in good shape regardless. and
Never
he's
mind.
just
This is
gotta
not
take
the
out these
soul
three
crushing
bosses, and
moment.
he'll be advancing to the
I was
semifinals.
wrong. Souls are not
Bit of a
crushed.
struggle there
Good
on
job,
Jackie, though,
Jorf.
So Jorf, he got himself into a perilous health
Good job.
situation last time against the boss.
All of what I said was
but that
true.
was
It
in the
was
game
not
he was
sarcasm.
losing anyway.
Jorf
This time
is
he's ahead,
indeed
so
going to
if
play.
you die on one of the bosses, you are sent back to the
The
beginning of
Arcus?
7-1, so
Endy?
that's pretty much
I don't
game
know.
over.
We'll see in a second here.
Or sorry,
White Hat had to
7-2,
go-
7-2 rather.
White Hat did have to go for the backup health, but Jorf should be taking this.
Yeah, he's got plenty of HP. And there it is.
This part 2.
Are we live?
Oh jeez. What ad do we get this time? Samsung Odyssey. Cut it out. 10K? 10K what? Did I miss something? Is this up dog?
Okay. All right, and we're back after some. So here we go. Some ladder grabs coming up here.
Gyarados and Jorf on Jorf Saber Stage. So Gyarados was the
these
only
are
other
okay.
person who could
Both
do
of these guys
Ashtar
have,
like
just enough health to get
to
through the end,
some
but
degree
both
of
them have had,
consistency.
a couple
Like
weird things happening
it
in
was
some
like a
toss, I think. So
10% or
Gyarados
like
actually got a
5%
1 health. He
chance,
has to
but
be
he
careful.
still
Jorf
got
is
it
fine
like
with 3
more
health.
than, you know, the people
Maybe a little
who had
risky.
gotten it like once
Garrett's
ever,
He takes
which
it
was
pretty
like
safe.
most people.
Both of them.
They got it once ever or not at all.
Garrett, you
Last
All
chance.
right,
Who's
Jorf.
going to the finals?
Jorf takes it.
Waiting
Okay. And
the
now
pitfall points with players.
we are at
That could be
the
the
spot
over.
where
He's coming up on the
Jorf
health,
is
but
pretty
don't mess
far
up here.
ahead.
Oh no!
Gyarados dies. Right?
Wow,
It's
Jorf
over.
snags the health, and Garrett is taking
Oh,
a costly
all right. I'm
death.
gonna play
That
Jorf
could
in the
be
finals.
End of
Right?
the tournament for him. Wow.
End of the tournament for
It's
Gyarados.
almost, it's almost
Oh!
those ladder grabs and the quick falls. He was being so
And
aggressive with those that
no.
it maybe just finally
No.
got caught up to him.
No.
Yeah.
And Jorf is like,
taking a death in the final screen. Gyarados has a chance now.
it's
I
over.
can't believe this.
There's
That is
no
one death
coming
you
back.
cannot take. The
This
one
is
death you
bad.
cannot take.
There is no coming back.
This is Garrett.
That's the worst
Gyarados
death
can't
in the
lose now,
game.
can he?
Oh, if he dies on the final boss rush, he
There's
can't.
no
Otherwise,
backup.
That's true.
Jorf is
The
stuck
backup
with the wrong weapon and only one ninja clone.
Is to go back 2
no.
screens and
The
die
pressure, I
and
think
get the
pressure
fire
was
wheel.
too much for these
unless
guys.
you
This
like
Gyarados,
have this strat
he probably
practiced,
doesn't
which is
realize
like
this. He's
so
about
hard.
down, he's about to go
Even
to the
then, it might
finals
not
against
even be
Jimmy
faster
if
if
he
you
can
do it
just finish
optimally.
off this final form of the last boss.
This is soul crushing.
And he's got plenty of health, and he does it.
That's it.
Wow. What a show. What a show put on by these two guys. You have to be feeling
I
for
was
Jorf, though. That's
I was
just
really
such an
sad at this point.
unfortunate and
I
uncommon
think Jorf
death
was
that
probably
he
pretty
took.
sad. I think I was more
I
sad,
almost
like
can't even
way
fathom
more
that he
sad.
took that death, and he's having
This
to
is a
fight
chat.
bosses with the backup weapons, and it's just, you know,
Bad
can't do it.
breaks.
Jorf finishing
Stumbler
out,
is
though,
super
like a true
salty.
professional.
Sounds like it's
You gotta
poutine
feel for
tonight,
the
my
guy, man.
friends.
He put
Who's
on
the
a really good
Italian
show.
one?
Gyarados, though, he kept it together. You know,
Holy
he took that
Italian
death, but he
Batman.
didn't let it rattle him too much. He was able to finish out his run. And now, now Jorf may take it. He may take.
This
a
isn't
few here,
happening,
'cause
says
it's really
Andy.
hard to manipulate these.
Right,
Yeah,
Andy.
he is gonna die there. So
A
that
really
is
rare
gonna
death,
be
and it
that.
happened twice.
I mean, credit to Gyarados. You know, I'm sure he thought at that point that it was over once he died there, but he kept it together and still managed to pull it off.
I think Jorf
So,
finishes,
Yeah, I mean, how
right?
could you
Jorf
not
is
think that
Jorf's
that
a
was the
champ,
end?
and he's like, I'm
You know,
still
taking
gonna
that
finish
death
it.
there, and you're against Jorf. Like, that's just, I don't know. I don't even know.
Let's watch him
But
finish.
Jorf having that death on a
I had to use
final
the bathroom.
screen, that is literally
watched
one of the
Jorf
worst deaths you
finish.
can take, because you lose both of your ninja clones, you lose your Art of the Fire Wheel, which is the weapon that you need, and the only way to really recover from that is you actually have to go back 2 screens and take a death in that screen so that you can reset the screen and you can pick up both of your ninja clones and your fire wheel. So this screen that Jorf is on now, he would have had to return to this screen, take an intentional death, and then that would have brought him back. But at that point, I mean, Gyarados, he had this thing locked up, so he's going to the finals. He's going to be facing Jimmy.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's quite surprised now that he's actually seeing what happened. But you know, hey, he got into the finals, and you know, aside from that death in 7-2, he looked really strong this entire top 8. So I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting finals, that's for sure.
Definitely is. And of course, let's not forget, as you mentioned earlier in our broadcast, that Gyarados had to beat Jimmy in round 6 of the Swiss in order
Good job,
to even
Jorf.
advance to top 8. So Jimmy had a chance to knock this guy out of the tournament, and now he is back.
Gyarados is back
take
and
this
ready
thing
for
away.
vengeance. I already
Yeah,
kind of
I
spoiled
mean,
it.
Maybe this is the little chance for redemption for Jimmy.
Get even better in the top 8.
Oh, they're
Wouldn't you
showing
say,
the cards
Darkman?
again.
Oh yeah. Like,
Oh, I did
yeah,
have a 1007 by
definitely
this
showing
point.
up. I mean, like I said, Gyarados has been really strong, like through his matches. I mean,
Um,
aside from
I will
Jimmy,
put this in the chat one more time
he's
if
feeling
you want to
confident.
watch it.
I mean, I wonder
Yeah,
whether
Sinister
maybe the break
Darkman
might,
was insanely
you know,
good commentary
make
here.
him.
But yeah, I want to kind of finish up here because there's a couple of other, I think probably just one more video I want to show. Some stuff I want to talk about here. You know what? While I talk about some stuff, I'm just gonna let this run so that you can watch this while I talk about stuff. Because they're still good matches. By the way, this was one of the first tourneys where there was like an advertised cash prize. Oh, and someone said what was the date? You can see it there. It was 2016 in May. The cash prize wasn't big. It was like $100. Some guy donated it. But money was like kind of a funny thing in speedrunning back then. It was like people wanted to keep it out of speedrunning. But yeah, slowly it kind of got to the point where like, you know, it's still not like hugely prominent, but it's less of like a don't talk about it kind of thing. Like back then, people would just say we don't want it, right? Nothing. Okay, so this is where after I got the 1007, after the tournament, I took kind of a break. So there was a short while where I was jokingly going for sub 10. And I was going for the double clone strat on 1-1. And I actually grinded attempts for a while, but that strat was just so not fun to go for that I ended up just stopping after a while. And yeah, that was when I started taking a break. So that was in 2016. That was my last run. The PB was in February. We did this tournament in May. And I said, yeah, the game is dead. And if you look at the speedrun.com leaderboard, you can see all of these names that we saw in this tournament actually in this. So we can see, right, Endy 5 years ago, Gyarados 6 years ago, Backslash, I think his PB was in that race 6 years ago. Ohan came back and was like, hey, you know what, I'm Ohan, so I'll just play for a week and get a PB. Aqua 6 years ago, White Hat 6 years ago. So there's all of these like 6 years ago times, or at least almost all of them, were a product of that tournament. So this tournament was just like, there's this influx of like new-ish runners like Gyarados, Endy, White Hat, Toad, who kind of they were just like doing the stuff. Yeah, Zallard also has a PB under this category. They were like doing all of the stuff that was like new and kind of like cutting edge. Like these were players that were really good at what they did. And I thought it was really cool that they all just kind of like flocked to this tournament and were like, okay, you know, we're gonna do it. Like Prissy was someone else who joined, Asta, who almost made top 8, and you know, it was great. I think Black Attack even joined this tournament. He didn't take the game super seriously, but he joined the tournament, and that was pretty cool. So there was the lull though, and then at some point, Baron can tell me when this was. Becco, who I think I knew for like Mega Man 5, I don't know. Becco was just like Mega Man God, gimmick God. He and Baron Haynes both pick up this game for the 12-hour challenge. 12-hour challenge is a speedrunning thing where you try to get as good of a time as you can get in 12 hours. So that includes practicing, watching videos, doing attempts, all of that. See how well you can do in 12 hours. Originally, it was intended to be in like one day, one sitting, but there's no real like true rules for that. It kind of, I don't know, sometimes spans a few days. I personally think this is a terrible 12-hour challenge day for the exact reason that Kenny is saying. I it's very hard to get a deathless run in this game, period. It took me a lot of attempts before I ever got a deathless run, a run that really felt like a speed run. And I don't think you can really do it in 12 hours. Some people can. Becco was just having really good stuff. And I was still under this like blindfold mentality of like, haha, game's dead, no one can beat me. And Becco kept getting better times, and I was like, once he gets to like the 10-15, he's just gonna fall into the same trap that everyone else did. They can't beat it. He's not gonna beat it. And then he ended up beating my time. He got a 10:06, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what to do. This feels kind of, I don't know. I'm not too happy about this. Um, I had a lot of other things going on in my life at that point, and yeah, I didn't really want to come back to it. Uh, anyways, Becco pushed the game down really far, and he did a lot of things that we thought were possible, and I thought they were RTA possible, but we they weren't in my PB, because my PB, my 10:07, by the way, I think it was like 4 seconds off of my sum of best. So for the strats that I was going for, my 10:07 was like really, really, really well executed. And that was one of the reasons that I felt like it was like the best you could do. Like no one else was going to come and take it. But Becco also had really well executed runs, and he also implemented a few things that I had been toying with, but never had a completed run that had them. So one of the examples are the over the walls in 7-1, where these were new and innovative, and no one actually thought they were possible. But let's see. Here's an example. I don't think either of us are going to go for these. See, yeah, the over the walls were not a thing back then. I didn't think that you could develop consistency in doing them. And I realize now that my mentality to muscle memory was actually just kind of wrong. Muscle memory is a lot more in depth than I originally thought it was. And if you look at me play this game now, when I approach these over the walls, like I'm expecting to get them. It's I'm very, very consistent at them. If I mess them up, I'm surprised. But back then it was like, no, this sort of thing doesn't make sense. We're not gonna go for it. But Becco challenged that idea. And Becco I mean I was trying to challenge the idea, but like Becco just kind of did it. He accepted it, like this is what the run should look like, and Becco put them in his run, and he got them. Becco didn't have like a lot of innovations of the game, like new strats. He had a couple things here and there. I would say that probably the ones that worked on the strats the most were like me and Jorf, and Gus Mancini also helped with some stuff. There were a few innovators here and there, and like I said, Becco did some stuff here and there. But I think Becco was just best at like just doing everything. Like he was so consistent and he played a lot. Now, what happened with Becco is he got the 10:06, he got something better, and he got to a 10, I think it was a 10 flat. Right? It was like a 10 flat. And he played the game for a really long time. And he never got the sub 10. And at that point, everyone said like he deserved the sub 10. But he never got it. Then around this time, some other stuff happened with Becco. And long story short, he took a really long break. I don't remember what made me come back, but there was one day where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for the sub 10. And I just started streaming. I started, going for these attempts. And this was back in 2019. Okay, so it was like spring of 2019. And I got a 10:06, which was amazing, right? I beat my PB, and that's always a really good feeling. Then it was only 10 days later where I got a 10:02, and I was like, oh, okay. It looks like 2 weeks later. Let me show the timeline here again. 2 weeks later, I got the 10.6 flat. Okay, in this, I think it was it was either one frame faster than Becco or one frame slower. I think it was one frame slow. I think Becco still had the record. Now, Becco came back. Becco was still not playing, but Becco came back and he started trying to go for sub 10. So it was at this point when we were both like racing for sub 10 almost. I thought I was in the clear. I felt like I was good to get it. I was getting really demoralized. I remember at one point asking Jorf, like, Jorf, how do I find motivation to do this? I can't do this anymore. I remember Jorf said something like, you gotta get it before Becco does. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my motivation. Okay. Because you can only get this sort of landmark once, right? It's like you have to, sub 10 is the barrier, right? We used to think it was like not possible, just kind of like Ashtar, but the first person, it's like being the first person on the moon, right? There's never going to be another first person on the moon. And I was like, I really want to do that. So yeah, I did it. It was really hard, and this was, really, really something when I got that. And around this time also, actually I think it was around here. This is before the sub 10. We did AGDQ submissions, and we did a race, Becco and I was originally submitting it as a solo run, and he was like, why don't we do a race? And I was like, okay, that'll be great, right? These two people who are like leagues ahead of almost everyone else. Also, I haven't spoken much about Wang Dao. Wang Dao is an incredibly good Chinese speedrunner of this game. You can see his time right here. It's just very hard to be in contact with the Chinese community because of the laws and stuff there, that they have to jump through so many hoops to actually really communicate with us. And it's kind of hard to navigate their sites and talk with them because everything is in Chinese. So that's actually one of the reasons I've been trying to learn Chinese, is so that I can interact with Chinese runners better. But it's been a very, very, very slow process, and I'm not even close to that point yet. But yeah, Wang Dao is really good. He's a keyboard player. He was kind of in the running for the first sub 10 also, but Becco and we just had like too much of a head start, that Wang Dao was never like, he was in the race, but he was like, you know, maybe he could get it by a miracle, but it was pretty unlikely. So yeah, Becco and I submitted this time for AGDQ for this race. When we submitted it, we were literally 1 frame apart. And like that was like, okay, this race has to be accepted, right? We're two like people who are just so much ahead of like everyone else. Looking at this leaderboard, you can kind of tell that, right? And Arcus actually came back the game. So I don't know how you can view people's histories. I felt like there was a way, but I don't know. If you look at Arcus's history, he was also kind of in this like, you know, this I don't know how to do that. On filter. Oh, okay. Yeah, so see, it was Arcus kind of made his like uproar like a year ago, right? He was also in this mid 10 10 minutes, sorry, like, you know, 10-15. There were just this huge clump of runners that were in that range. And Arcus ended up jumping ahead like fairly recently. And he made a big push on this game. Look at that. From 10-15 all the way to yeah, this. But it was still like me and Becco. Wang Dao was also kind of in there. Anyways, getting a little off track. Becco and I were just like, you know, kind of iconic, I guess, for runners. And we submitted this run. I don't really want to watch this run, because I don't know. I guess we could. I don't think there's. It was a good race, but like after watching the relay, and I don't know. I feel like there's better stuff. I'll put this here if people want to watch it. It was a good race. Um, I I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I ended up losing. Sorry for spoiling. And honestly, that's not why I don't want to watch it. It's more that like this has already been going kind of long, and there's some more footage I want to show. So it was still a pretty good race, so you can watch it. I was a little bit disappointed here. So I do want to talk a little bit about the race, so I'll just keep it running while we. So let's go to this part right around here, right, Blecky? Oh, there's Myth. Right, oh yeah, Myth and Blecky were commentating, and this was like, dude, it was the greatest commentary ever. Anyways.
There's gonna be these bird boosts coming up. They're gonna delay very slightly. They're manipulating this bird. Jimmy's going for it too. Becco gets it. Needs to take a damage boost off him. Gets it. Jimmy's doing the same. Takes that damage boost off the same guy and gets it. Now on the final screen of this stage, they're gonna be doing over the wall where they need to get over this wall. But there's a pit.
Funny thing here is that Becco is just unbelievable. Like, it was kind of a replay of me versus Backslash, or like me versus Gyarados, where like in that race, it didn't matter. Like the other player couldn't do anything, right? I was beating Becca, or I was beating Backslash's like sum of best, and Gyarados is sum of best. Now, Becca wasn't beating my sum of best, but he was just playing like that well. Every single opportunity, I was like, okay, I can like come back here. I would look over and he just like did the same thing, like better. So there wasn't really much for me to do. I tried. There were two things I think that kind of contributed. One is the day before, I think it was the day before, there was a Twinkle Star Sprites tournament. And if you don't know Twinkle Star Sprites, it's the greatest versus game of all time. And I love shoot 'em up, and I love competing and stuff. And there's a tournament, and I had never really played Twinkle Star Sprites before I wanted to. There's a bunch of really good people that play the game there. Mike Viyama is like this legend who used to play all of these Japanese players, and like Japan is insane at TSS. And then Rom Scout is really good. OmniGamer is really good. Anyways, there was a bunch of new blood in this tournament, and Cypher was someone. BJW. There were a few other people, and I was like, dude, I'm loving this game. I'm pretty good at it. I'm gonna take it seriously, and I'm gonna like go all out in this tournament, even though I should be practicing for Ninja Gaiden 2, which is tomorrow. So the day before, which was, yeah, the day before, I basically spent like 14 hours straight playing Twinkle Star Sprites when I should have been practicing for this. I ended up getting 4th in the tournament, which was actually kind of unreal. I ended up beating Reign of Soten, who was like kind of thought to be like, you know, he was pretty good. It was definitely like Mikuyama was in a league ahead of everyone else. And OmniGamer was also in a league of everyone below that. Okay, and then it was kind of like Rom Scout and Reign of Soten were like in the similar tier level. But that was like pretty clearly the top 4. So the fact that I had beaten Reign of Soten, I felt pretty good about that. There were some really good matches in top 8, like me versus Cypher. But yeah, I ended up practicing playing Twinkle Star Sprites all day, and honestly, that was a really great experience. I thought this was still a pretty great race. I'm a little bit miffed that I lost. I don't think I played as well as I should have, but I don't really, yeah, I don't really regret playing Twinkle Star Sprites all day. The other thing is that I was on this awful medication around this time that made me so exhausted, like so incredibly exhausted, that I had to just drink like copious amounts of coffee in order to just not fall asleep. And I was starting to build up this like, oh, I'm actually drinking way too much coffee, to the point that I'm like getting like, basically when this started, this was kind of late in the week, and I was drinking like so much coffee every morning that it was kind of like creeping up on me. And I actually had pretty bad anxiety like at the start of this. I felt kind of like on autopilot. So I ended up like playing fine. You know, I probably would have beaten a lot of other people, but Becco just played so well. There was no beating him. Let's at least watch this finish. Like, it looks like we're kind of close, but we're really not. We're both on the final boss rush, but this is... I'm pretty far behind. Yeah. So see, he gets, yeah, like a 10-19. That's really good. There's one other thing that kind of contributed to my play, is that I hate doing no reset runs of this game. Anyone who has watched my stream should know that. And yeah, I honestly didn't practice nearly as much as I should have. If this race was like 3 months earlier, I feel like I would have been in so much better shape, because I was actively like running the game at that point. But yeah, you know, it happens. Becco played really well. Props to him. I still got the sub 10 first, so there. All right, moving on. Let me... Yeah, there were not very many people who had a time better than 10:19. And there's a lot of, if you look at this list, there's a lot of really good players on here. Okay, these are no like small names, right? There's some really really good, well-known speedrunners on here. Okay, so yeah, let's kind of start wrapping this up a little bit. So Becco, yeah, I got the sub 10. I was like, okay, I did it. I'm probably never playing this game again. And then Becco comes and he's like, oh, I can get a sub 10 too. I couldn't get it before, but hey, this stuff is easy for me. So he gets it. I think I'm kind of like, over exaggerating a little bit. Becco puts in a lot of work, I'm sure. He's very, very good. He seems like he's a natural, but no doubt he puts in a lot of work. And he ended up getting, yeah, also a sub 10. It was slightly faster than mine. So in fact, let's go ahead and look at this little race here. Where, see, here is my sub 10. Okay. Becco gets a 9:58. If you look at Becco's VODs, he gets another time that's like really, really similar, almost right around the same time. Okay, and I'm like, you know what? No, I want the record. Okay, so I start playing, and almost like the day that he beats my record, I start playing again. And I'm pretty bad because I'm very rusty, and I'm playing a little bit, not playing too much, and like there's one day in the week where I'm like, you know what? I really want this. This game is such a big part of my history that like I I really want to just have the record. And I feel like the only way that I can really achieve this is to say or to make some sort of like contract that I'm just going to stream every single day until I get it. Now, I don't know if any of you remember this, but the way that that actually started is I started it stream every day until I get a PB. And what ended up happening is that was the plan, and maybe like 20 days into that, Becco just got this like impossible to beat time. And I was like, how am I ever going to beat that? I don't want to just get a PB now. So I have to make the decision of, do I change my thing into get the record and have to actually go for this, or do I just want to stop? And I'm not the type of person to like, give up on something like that. And like I said, like I really wanted this. So I just changed the strat. I was like, I'm gonna stream every day until I get the record. And yeah, that was the birth of this journey. And you can kind of see some of the progress here. If we look, yeah, so I'll just kind of keep this part short because a lot of people know this history. I ran it for a really long time. Maybe like, I guess not really long. Thanks, Jorf. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, thanks, because you got Becco to get that time, which ended up getting me to get this time. So ultimately, you're the cause of this 9:53. You can, yeah, everyone thank Jorf. So try to keep this short a little bit. I think about like 70 days into my challenge, I was like, you know what? I am not playing at the level that I want to. I am going to enter what I call deep practice mode. And a lot of you probably remember this. I just did deep practice where I just practiced for, I think it was like over 3 months straight. There were no runs. I had the spreadsheet of like times and goals that I was going for. I had all of this like structured stuff and I practiced. Conquering, yes. Conquering was the term I used for if I was like done with a stage. It was this completely made up thing that like actually worked. It was hard to see results. Once I finished the practice and I started runs again, I didn't really see immediate results, but I could feel it. I felt like I was playing better. And you could tell. I mean, even though I wasn't like getting PBs, even though I wasn't completing a lot of runs, I had kind of a different, I don't know, level of consistency of doing harder things. And it was it was a little tough at first because like I wanted to see something, but you know, it's whatever. Um yeah. Um so kind of going down this timeline here a little bit more. In around October, I ended up getting this PB here. Right. Wait, no. Yes. This one? I don't remember. It might be this one. I think it was this one. Yeah, that was October. Okay. And I was really happy because first off, that was my first PB since I came back. Um yeah, it is. So, I felt really good about this. Nice, Kenny. Especially because Lawn Movember was coming up, and I really just wanted to play Lawnmower all month, which I did. And I got the record back in Lawnmower. So that felt really good. I felt like kind of like, you know, way up. Now, while I was playing Lawnmower, there was a Chinese runner that, or maybe Chinese tasser, I'm not sure, that they found some new tech that supposedly Scumtron had kind of alluded to this, but he was doing a Scumtron thing where no one really knew what he was talking about. Um, that there was a way that you could go through walls. And the funny thing is that how I discovered this, if you don't know, I'm one of the active mods on speedrun.com leaderboard for this. And I'm more of like a senior like fact checker type person rather than like frequently looking over the VODs. And just one day I was like, you know, I'll check a VOD out. So I looked at this VOD and it was this Chinese runner. And I see him go through a wall and I'm like, you can't do that. Does he have left plus right enabled? But I looked at it a little bit closer and I was like, this looks like he's setting something up. It doesn't look like he's using left plus right. For those of you that don't know, if you have like a keyboard or a modded controller, if you hold left plus right at the same time, you just go through walls. So that's what the task does. Yeah, definitely Scumtron. Definitely, because that stage makes... Okay. Jorf should have figured it out. That's Jorf's favorite stage. Anyways, I saw him go through the wall in 4-2, and I ended up sending him a message about it, and then I also sent Scumtron a message. I was like, can we go through walls? Like, what is going on here? And Scumtron was like, oh yeah, like, yeah, we know this. And I was like, Scumtron, why didn't you tell me? I guess like the Chinese video had come out like pretty recently, but we found they found two ways that you could go through walls, two specific instances, which was in 4.2 with the waterfall, and then in 5.2 with going through that little ice thing. Now, the 5.2 one is like very, very easy, and it saves quite a bit of time, like a half second to a second. The 4.2 one also saves like about a second maybe, but it's really hard. And this is what actually like just made me almost go insane for a while, because I felt like I could was like pretty close to the record, but I also wanted to implement these strategies. Now, what ended up happening is that I had a very long Christmas break. So I'm a professor, and we have at my university we have like it's almost like 6 weeks worth of Christmas break. And I had some stuff I needed to do, but it's like I'm gonna stream like super long, and I'm gonna get the record over Christmas break, and I'm going to be ready to do work in spring, and like everything's gonna be great. My spring semester is like super, super busy, and yeah, life's gonna be good. I'll have it done. And what ended up happening, I'm going through my log right now. You can look at these runs. This was around December where I started keeping logs again. And anytime you see this 4.2 thing, in walled, this was the thing that I said where like I lost the run due to the wall. Okay, so here's like a killer pace run that died to the wall. Look at all of these walls right here. Right, so it was like I was losing like all of these runs to this stupid wall, like repeatedly. And this just kept happening. I just kept getting walled over and over again. And I started to realize I was like, well, I'm not gonna get it over Christmas break, am I? And then what ended up happening is spring semester started taking a hold where I was just drained. I had tried so hard over Christmas break to get the run, and spring semester was really, really busy. I don't know if people remember this, but when I was streaming, I would come home at like 11:30 because I was like grading all day, 11:30 at night, and I would stream like an hour, 2 hours into the night trying to get a PB. And I would actually get kind of close sometimes. Um, but it was like that. I was working a lot in spring. This was happening 6 days a week. We're frequently working until like late hours. And I just kind of like drained myself. I didn't really get much going that entire spring semester. I felt like a new breath of life as soon as that semester ended. I felt like totally rejuvenated. And yeah, as soon as spring semester was over, I was like, I'm actually feeling good again. And yeah, um I somehow magically like got really good at that 4.2 trick. I don't know what happened. It was like, I guess things just kind of like started making sense to my thumb to end up getting that. Now, I still had this PB right here, which was the 957. I have another PB which didn't get submitted. Because I just never really felt like submitting it to SRC. It's in my VODs. That was the PB that I had somewhat recently with no Ashtar. Okay, so this was this 957.6. This happened back in June. And this was completely unheard of that I got a PB that didn't have the Ashtar quick kill in it. just for reference, the Ashtar quick kill saves about 4.5 seconds. So if this had gotten if this had Ashtar, it would have been like everything else equal, it would have been pretty close to like it would have been a low 953. So given that happened, I was just like, I'm ready. You know, I'm gonna do this. And if you look around this time, this is when I was just playing like insanely well. Let's go to the recent times here. Okay, so we can go to my, yeah, it was like around June sometime here. Where are my, you see all of these notes that I'm making to myself. Yes. Okay. So this is where I got my Ashtar list PB, somewhere around here. Now, the thing about Ashtar is because of that time save, my splits were in a very strange spot where it was very hard to keep up. And then if I got Ashtar, boom, I saved 4.5 seconds. These splits actually helped me out so much because I felt compelled to try to keep up with them. It was like, you know, I want to stay close with these splits. And then when Ashtar comes around, if I get it, I'm like so far ahead. So around this time, this is when I was just playing out of my mind. And look at this. There was one day in June here around that time where I had 2 runs die in the exact same day in 7-2. Okay, around the exact same spot. And they were -4 and -3.9. So I could have had like a big mistake and still gotten the record. But both of these died around the same spot. I thought there was another day where I was playing like super, super well, but maybe not. I guess I don't see it here. You can see my little, this, I've kept these notes for forever, Tiki. These are my notes to myself of like what to do with my thumb on Ashtar for consistency's sake. Yeah, they go all the way back to September. There were times when I stopped taking notes. Yeah, they go back to September. I've got all sorts of like spreadsheets here. No, I did. I just never showed my spreadsheet. Yeah, I've kept logs of what went wrong all the way back to September. Yeah. And I kept up with this little thing, which like I got really innovative. It reads this sheet and I can tell it what rows to put in. So here's like 1214, right? This is the last row. So I want to read it from 1214. And then we can pick a time like, I don't know, here, 1184. And it tells me all of the runs, all of the times where I made mistakes in these different rooms in these different stages. So I would do this and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I should practice 3-2. Or like, oh yeah, I did lose some things in like 7-1. I should practice that a little more. Yeah, it actually ended up helping a lot more than I thought it would. So yeah, I have all sorts of stuff in here. In any case, that Ashtar thing happened. I was playing out of my mind. Now, here's the thing. It was around this time when I also kind of just approached the whole process with a different mentality. So I told people, a lot of you probably remember this, where I was like, I just don't care. You know, I'm not going to have any expectation of me getting this. I felt like that expectation was just constantly getting in the way. Where it was like, I'm expecting to get this, or like, I deserve this, or, something like that. And I actually started like, I felt like I was really progressing when I just told myself, I don't care. I'm going to play. I'm going to try my best to enjoy while I'm playing. And whatever happens, happens. And there were quite a few people who were like, you'll get it any day. Like, I believe in you. And I would be like, I would just kind of like laugh. I got to the point, like, at first I would tell them, like, yeah, shut up, I don't want to hear it. But I just kind of started laughing at that because I didn't really have a response. It was one of those things that like I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to not believe it. I just didn't want to process that because I didn't want to have this mentality at all of if I'm going to get it or I'm not going to get it. It was like I'm just going to let it, whatever happens, happens. I'm the type of person that like I'm putting in the time. I have the mentality that I want to get better, right? I'm going to focus on what's going on and I'm not going to try to attach like an expectation to this. And I think that helped a lot, especially kind of toward the end. And I kept like, you know, there were all of these funny rituals throughout the end where like, I would have this like Robert T chug where I would chug tea and like I would do these like full lotus positions while I was playing and stuff like that. But I think it actually really helped me just kind of enjoy it, right? And like be more mindful while I'm playing and less caring about my performance. Um and yeah, I think it really really helped honestly. Um I think if I kept going, I actually wouldn't be surprised if I could get a better time, but I need a break. So, we'll save that for another time. I will talk about what I want to do after when we're done here. But yeah, I mean, just to kind of conclude here, here's my 10/24 or on 10/24 on July 24th. This is one day before my birthday, Pacific time. It was during my birthday, Eastern time. I got the record, and this was amazing. Was it 453 days of streaming every day, and I finally got it. I felt a little bit like, I don't know the word. I never really wanted to appear like I felt like I deserved it or like I was owed the record. And I don't think most people think this, but like, there's probably a couple of people out there that are like, oh, he thinks he's so great that he can, you know, just stream every day and get it, right? Um, like maybe no one thinks that. In fact, I know that most people don't. But I think that to me it was more of like a showcasing of like dedication and um effort and like passion for the game because the whole reason I started this in the first place is because the game means a lot to me speedrunning wise, and I feel like it's kind of a part of my gaming history. And I want that to be like kind of my thing. So I feel like if someone takes the record again, it should probably be Becco, but I don't know, maybe someone else. I will definitely be back. I'm not sure to what degree if I would do this sort of thing again. I'm still going to be active in this game. And like I said, I'll explain after like what I want, what my plans are, because I have something kind of cool planned. But I don't think I'm going to be grinding in the near future. I don't know. We'll see. I'll talk about that in a second. Now, the thing that I do want to showcase is some of these Jorf videos. Okay, so Jorf made two videos. Let's watch these videos. So, okay, so Jorf made 2 videos. He made a side-by-side comparison of me and Becco. He also made a stage-by-stage comparison. Now, they're both essentially showing the same thing. One is going to show, like, it kind of like starts over at every stage to see where the time saves were. I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a little bit hard to process at some points. I think it's a really great idea, and I don't know. I'm torn as to. I just want to show one of these. I don't know if I should show the side by side, like completely no pausing or anything, or if I should show the stage by stage comparison. I think they're both great. Do we have a strong opinion for either one? I think Jorf put more effort into this video, so I'm kind of feeling tempted to show this as well, like instead of the side-by-side comparison, just going simultaneously. Watch both. Stage by stage. All right. I'm gonna put this in chat. We'll do the stage by stage. Like I said, they kind of get the same point across. I kind of like this one because you can see how far ahead Becco is. Here, let me just show this because this is the big one. Okay. We're neck and neck going into the boss, but he has an extra clone. Okay. So he's like pretty far ahead at this point, relatively speaking. It stays that way until here. Okay, so this is where it changes significantly. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like seeing exactly where we are side by side and like who is gaining ground at different points. It's like watching a race almost. But yeah, I'm already like kind of caught up because of that wall grab and over the wall. And look at this here. Boom. Okay. So yeah, that's where I mainly caught up. So that's okay. I think, like I said, I put this in chat. You can watch that if you want. Let's, for the sake of time here, because I still have to eat and stuff, let's watch the stage by stage comparison. I'll put this in chat also. Give Jorf. I like this. And let's watch this. So, the time at the bottom that you see, or I guess the 0, that is the frame difference. If you didn't notice, Becco has the clone. Okay, so he has the second clone. I had the option of going for that strat, but it's just not fun. I save 1 frame. Okay, I lose a bunch of frames here. 51. Fine. Alright, thanks, Beerful. Have a good night. Alright, look at Becca's time loss here. We don't know how that happened, but he lost frame. It's probably a frame rule thing. I don't think he actually lost time, but I don't know. I think we're near identical on 2-2. The only thing that we do different is the last screen. I do this buffer strat, but they're theoretically the same time. This is just a buffer that I discovered that makes it more consistent. You can see that he climbs higher on the wall, and that's why they're the same time strat. Even though it looks like I'm losing time from like sitting there, I gain it because I jump on the platform sooner. We have identical strats on this stage, except I do the back of the ledge grab a little more like YOLO-ish, but I'm tried it his way, and I'm actually more consistent at the YOLO way. You can see he kind of overshoots it and goes back in, whereas I just try to grab it. Now, 3-2, we go for the same strats, at least same speed strats, except for the last screen. This is by far Becco's weakest part of his run. The rest of his run is like immaculate. But yeah, there's some issues in 3-2. So I get the back of the wall grab, which that's frame perfect. Getting over the wall is really hard. I make a little goof here, you can see this, but I actually like recover, which I've actually had a lot of runs dive before. This is different. So this is something that I discovered throughout this journey, that you can screen wrap the crescent dive, and it makes that thing that used to be a very hard frame perfect trick without a good cue into something actually somewhat consistent. I saved 78 frames, which is close to 1.5 seconds. Okay, his Sack 3 bus is a little faster. We both go for the same stuff on... Oh no, my 4-1 is different. I forgot, because I said, you know what? Upbeat takes too much time, let's get rid of these. I feel pretty comfortable with slashing the mortars nowadays, so I was like, yeah, fine. That upbeat just kind of comes out naturally. I have a strat there if I don't want to do it. We both get the pillar jump. This is frame perfect and really hard. It saves like half a second maybe. Okay, 4-2 is where everything is different. So arguably I have a time save here. But it's definitely not. Like I mentioned earlier, this is very, very hard to do. The first stage is also really hard. Okay, we're neck and neck. Oh, never mind. See, that's my problem. I keep thinking we're neck and neck, but this is a stage-by-stage comparison. It's hard to see where they sync up. So I actually goofed up. Here, let me go back real quick, again, because this is stage-by-stage. I get stuck on the wall. Hey, Mr. Eggs, thank you. You can do that faster. But I missed the first input, and it's not safe to do. Try to go for it a second time when the bird is coming. The bird is kind of too close. Also, this is Beerful of Belly's strat called the Waterfall of Belly, where this goes a little bit faster. Okay, so I saved 24 frames there. His boss here is a little bit faster. I think when I do this again, I'm going to try to implement that strat. Okay, 5-1 is completely different. It's not faster by much, but it's faster by a little bit. You'll see that I save a lot of time here, but the reason is not because of strat improvements. A little bit of it is, but only a couple frames. This is where Becco loses time. So this is one of my least favorite spots in the game because there's not much you can do about it. Look at Becco, how he gets caught. You see how he gets caught there? That saves, or that loses a lot of time. It loses a lot more than it appears. I don't know why, but yeah, it's actually a pretty big deal. Okay, so even though it looks like we're synced up, again, they get reset at the start of every stage. So right now I'm 103 frames. This is Jor's favorite stage. This is like one of my only, oh, I guess while we're doing stage by stage stuff, this, you can see, this is the only like real free time save that I earned in this run. This was that strat where you can go through this wall here, and it saves about half a second. It saved half a second over my TV because I got the clip. If you don't get the clip, you lose like another half a second. That was like the only real mistake in my run though, right here. With missing this. You see me wiggle? It's supposed to spawn the ninja, but I was too early. So normally you get boosted by that ninja, and that was like the first real huge mistake in this run. Yeah, so I should have saved. It was pretty big. It was like a second, maybe more than a second. Okay, so this is my best 6-1 of all time. There's not much time save you can do here, but look at this. Boom, right in there. 2 frame perfect slashes. Okay, I got right in that other tunnel. So, out of all of the possible spots to save time in this stage, that was also probably like close to frame perfect. I got them all. I got a gold split here, or a best split. And I'm pretty proud of it. Okay. That stage, there's not much you can do, and I managed to squeeze out a couple frames. Two-frame game, yes. 2 frames. Two-frame loss. Both of our Act 7-1s were really good. I don't think... yeah, you can see that, like... From the stage perspective, we're like neck and neck, right? He's a little bit ahead. I had a better room there, so I caught up. These are pretty much identical. Okay, 7-2. I have slightly harder strats, like right up here. You can see that I'm gonna save some time here. So I'm ahead very slightly. I also wall slash a little bit better than Becco does, but he somehow has better movement. Yeah. See, I'm gonna pause this for a second because this is my only gripe with this video. It's not clear that the video is resynced at every stage start, right? I keep looking at it like a lot of viewers are probably looking at it and they're like, oh my gosh, they're neck and neck. No, we're not neck and neck. I'm 82 frames ahead right now. It's just that it gets reset every time. So if you want to watch the actual side-by-side comparison, which I recommend you do that too if you're interested, you can watch that. So the purpose of this video is not to be like a record side-by-side comparison. It's to show each stage side-by-side. So when you're looking at the sync here, we're synced in terms of how well we're doing on 7-2. And this, by the way, this section, as I had said before, I had some real Yeah, Zero Dozer. This section is something that Becco came up with right here, where you can save like 0.3 at the cost of doing a super hard strat that is frame rule dependent, where it's either frame perfect or you have a 2-frame window. And back in my log, like I was saying before, there were 2 runs that I lost here at this exact section where I was 4 seconds ahead. So those could have also been like approximately this time. Those were like early June. Okay, this time I get it. No problem. Boom. Becco's movement is like better, so he's still like catching up somehow. My slashing is better, but he's gaining time in other spots. I don't really get it. Okay, so I still saved 4 seconds. They're 4 frames. I think I'd save a little time here, but yeah. I'm also short on ng2. It's actually remarkable how much time I save on Jackie 03 because of my slashing strats. Look at this. I'm entering this boss 8 ng2 short. But look at my slashing. Okay, that's insane. Right? I saved half a second. So just look one more time at the slashing. This is something that I've been working on and practicing a lot. So all triple slash cancels. Every single one. Whenever you slash, you follow it up with jump slash to cancel. Whenever you're landing, you slash and then land and then slash. It resets the animation. So there's a huge risk involved, but I actually kind of figured out a pattern. Toward the end of this journey, I said, wait, I'm noticing a pattern. It's the way that the shrimp spews, it's close, semi-close, far, far. Close, semi-close, far, far. So what happened is on this very first spew, I'm crossing my fingers. Do this one more time. Because if I know if the first spew is close, then I'm ready to just go ham. Okay, so I set myself up. That is close. So I'd say all I have to do is move slightly to the right to get out of range. All of the shrimp are going to go on the right side of me, and I'm in the clear. See? Totally in the clear. And I have no fear of a shrimp coming and hitting me close. So I can just go all out. Yeah, we didn't know that until like recently, and I figured that out. Just kind of through deduction. Yeah, so this got retimed as a 9:53. Okay, so I'm getting hungry. I kind of want to get this to a close. So what are my future plans? What I want to do is I have this comprehensive thing planned, and I'm gonna start streaming it a little bit. What I want to do is I want to come up with a massive spreadsheet of stage times and strats. So I was honored or inspired, I guess honored too, but inspired by Yogi the Monk, who came up with this for Solomon's Key, which is all of these rooms, how easy the strat is, how fast it is, and a video. So what I want to do is do this for basically every strat in Ninja Gaiden 2 with a video, how much time it saves, because I think one of the beauties of this game compared to other games is that there's so many options with the strats that you want to do. and they've kind of gotten lost in history, right? They're in various videos and various PBs all over the place. And I know where all of it is because I've been playing this game for 10 years and I've always kept up with everything. But, if someone's like, I can't do this really hard strat, I'm like, oh, just go look in, go look in my 1007. There's an easier way that you can do it that doesn't lose much time at all. Because I think if someone wants to learn the game, you should not learn it off of my PB. I've been playing for 10 years, and some of this stuff is just like on a level that like you don't want to jump in and do that. Like you need to develop certain muscle memory before you can start doing some of this stuff. And yeah, I think something like this would be very, very good for this game. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to lay it out, but this is my next plan. And I'm probably going to be streaming a lot of building this. I'm going to be doing it all in emulator so that it's all kind of tracked. And I have a hookup from actually back when I used to run the game on emulator where I can hook my controller up to it and do it that way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be pretty cool, and you'll all see me streaming that somewhat soon. I don't know when I'm gonna get started on it, but relatively soon, I would say. Before I get going, I didn't really, I guess, leave the, what do you call it? The chat open for questions. Does anyone have any questions before I get going? Trying to see who to raid. What's for dinner? Did I really stream every day? Good question, Aquas. Yes. I streamed every day. There was one day where I was in the middle of this incredibly important deadline and stuff went absolutely disastrous one day before it was due. And this is very, very important. Like, kind of crucial to my career, kind of important. Well, let me answer that one real quick. My favorite father is Danny Tanner. Bob Saget, Danny Tanner from Full House. So, yeah, this is like career ending type of important. And around 11 or around 11:55 p.m., I was like, I haven't streamed. I have to stream. What am I gonna do? So I started my stream up and I was just like, okay. I think I just like started the stream and I kind of just sat there and stared for like 2 minutes. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna fix this potentially career ending thing that just happened. How can I stream? Right? So I started the stream and then I just ended it. I was like, technically, I streamed for the day. That's it. But yeah, every other day, I streamed for almost. I gave my Mega Man 3 commentary, yeah. I streamed for at least a half hour. There may have been a couple of days where it was a little shorter. I would say that my average time streaming was probably a little over, probably like an hour 30. There were definitely a lot of days that were really short in spring when I was just like dead, where it was like a 30-minute stream. But there were also a lot of days where I would stream for like 4 hours. I think there were more shorter days than longer days, so it was mostly here, let me get some. I think on average it was like an hour. Also, partway through, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to actually play Ninja Gaiden every day. This was like a few months in. I was like, I'm just gonna like hit a roadblock. Like, I can't handle it. So what I ended up doing is on the weekends, I would usually do something different, which a lot of you kind of knew that. But I would just kind of stream something relaxing. And it was kind of my way of just like kind of getting away from this project, but like still technically staying on the project. Right, it was stream every day. It wasn't like do attempts or do something Ninja Gaiden related every day. So, I mean, it was kind of a technicality, but at the same time, it's still like I literally streamed every day for 453 days, which is pretty... There were times where I was definitely like going mad, and I think kind of toward the end of it, where I was like, I don't care anymore. You know, I'm just gonna enjoy the journey. That was when like I kind of just like overcame that potential hitting madness. In fact, in these last couple of months, I was having a lot of fun playing this game. And if you go back to like March or April, I just wanted to like throw my TV out the window like every day. I was having a really good time this past month. What's my favorite ng2 song? I would say 1-1 if it wasn't the first song that I had to hear every attempt. I actually really like that song, but I think because of that, I don't like it. I would say, I mean, it's cliche, 3-1 is really good. The ending theme is also really good. Probably the intro. I think the intro is actually my favorite. The intro is just like on another level. You got into Robert T.S. For those that don't know, Scumtron is making a Robert T.S. ROM hack where you play as Robert T.S. What's for dinner? I don't know yet. Probably a bowl of cereal. What's my favorite movie? Probably Forrest Gump. Is this the best feeling world record I ever got? That's hard. This in the sub 10 were definitely leagues different than any other record that I got. But I think this and the sub 10 were both very similar. I want to say maybe the sub 10 felt better, but I think, I don't know. They felt better in different ways, because the sub 10 was like an achievement, you know, it was like I was the first person to do this. Whereas this one was like I have defeated like a personal challenge that I've set for myself. There are definitely different levels of satisfaction. So it somewhat comparing apples and oranges, I would say that both of these were much better feeling than the other records I got. So I think I would have gotten the record sooner with Bad Breaks Controller. Absolutely, I would have gotten it the day that I got Bad Breaks Controller. Thanks, Asian Gippy 1951. Have a good night, and thanks for watching. Hey, board man. Also, for those that don't know, Power Drive. The stream that I got the record was also the stream where Power Drive was birthed. And I think that had something to do with it. Power Drive. You have selected Power Drive. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna go eat probably a bowl of cereal. What am I professor of? Mathematics and statistics. Alright. I think let's raid Yogi the Monk. You're welcome, Zaylin. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll be back again sometime soon, starting my spreadsheet project, which should be a lot of fun. Alright, good night.